On the stretch too, man. And that's the thing about it. So here's the thing about sacks, right? And I'm not even defending this one at all, man. I'm going the opposite of it. So what happens in these situations? You got 18 to 23. That is one heck of an efficient day for a quarterback, is it not? I don't know that percentage off top. I'd do some quick math, but screw it.
It's a 127 quarterback rating.
Yeah.
Which would be considered excellent.
Sure. Yeah, that's excellent. But what you sacrifice in those sacks is, I'm not going to throw the ball away. I'm not going to hurt my quarterback rating or my completion percentage. It could be perceived as selfish almost, or it can be conceived as, well, he's just taking care of the ball. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, I felt like this was a game in which you protect yourself, meaning if I'm going to go out and I think we probably won't beat this team and the Chargers, well, let me at least make sure that I can, at the end of the game, say, look, I did well. Okay? Right. And that's what I felt like happened. We had a guy one time, man, and we had a bad game against maybe the Patriots, Baltimore, somebody. And everybody just pretty much got punched in the face. And this one particular dude said, well, I didn't do bad. And that's what yesterday felt like for Levis in a sense, man. Is, you went 18 to 23, 127.4 rating, all those types of things, but you also had 7 sacks. Put your team behind, and I know a lot of it was a breakdown. Something's not computing. Is the way I look at these sacks given up. How can you have, and I saw the stat line, and people were talking about it all yesterday too, and one came back, you have more sacks than what Mason Rudolph has had in 3.
That's wild. 22 on the season for Will Levis.
That's a tough stat, Kayla.
Really tough stat. And you're right. It is kind of frustrating is, I guess, the word to use, because we don't know exactly how many go on him and how many go on, the offensive line. But you do have the sample of what you just said. When Rudolph has been in, it does seem like the two have worked together better. And it does seem like Rudolph is getting the ball out of his hands quickly.
Yeah.
Or more quicker than Will Levis has. And even after the game, Will Levis was asked about it and his performance. And he did mention that he really, didn't get the ball out as quick as maybe he needed to on some of those.
That's crazy.
But when are you going to fix that is the whole thing. You got to sit back and watch, right? And then you've also done it in games where you've felt it. So at some point, I think it has to click, because we're going to keep using this whole thing again. Like, is he the one that is going to be in trouble for taking the sacks, or is it on the line?
He is. He is the one that's in trouble for it.
There we go.
Will Levis has either got to get rid of the ball more quickly, or he's got to take evasive measures to move around in the pocket and get away. Because right now, the percentage of pressures that are resulting in sacks for Will Levis, that number is significantly high. Significantly high. So Zach Lyons, our teammate, Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach, 1-3, and on Titans Talkback, tweeted this out yesterday. Said the current PFF stats aren't finalized, but if the trend holds true, these are the pressure to sack rates for Mason Rudolph and Will Levis. Rudolph, 11%. 11% of the times he's pressured, he goes down. Will Levis, 44%.
Stop. That number ain't real.
Yes, it is.
That number ain't real, Will.
So that is a significantly high number. Guys, pressures are going to happen.
Absolutely.
Great quarterbacks get pressured all the time. There is not a perfect, flawless offensive line that's going to keep you totally upright all season. Will Levis is atrocious at recognizing pressure, moving in the pocket, and getting away from it. This team does not have an offensive line problem. The offensive linemen have a Will Levis problem. And this is not a place to come get paid if you want to play offensive line, because the guy behind you has no clue when to get rid of the football and has no idea how to get away from rushers when they're in the backfield.
I saw also, speaking of getting rid of the ball, they had been setting up a play, I felt like, for a while. They were going into the close, tight red zone. And Will Levis gave a play fake, rolled out to the right. And I felt like Josh Weiler was open right then. And he didn't throw the ball to him. There was a safety trailing him, and there was a corner on the outside. Will Levis is strong enough to be able to make those types of passes to where you can get the ball downfield. And then you mentioned, of course, man, just the idea of either standing in the pocket and just delivering the pass. Like, that's something I thought he did a couple of times yesterday. But the differences that we spoke about was what, man? Like, your job is to be able to provide action for your team. And yesterday, one of those did not equate over the course of the game. The rushing was down minus his rushing, right? Got to acknowledge that. He did throw himself on the line and get down the field. And I thought that was, remember, we spoke about that maybe about a month or two ago.
Yeah.
If he's going to be rewired and not be the guy, use him.
Yeah.
use the physicality that he
Finally
is.
saw that just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But in the moments where you needed him to make quick decisions or stay in the pocket and let a play develop, you didn't get those things, except for that first drive when he caught really. And then at the end of the game, when they were playing bend but don't break defense, right? Those are the things that you have to, like, is the ball coming out? How quick is it? And as I said before, I don't know what defenses are discussing as Will Levis is perceived. Like, the rushing goes down, the sacks go up, and just the floor of the offense get a little bit of lag in it. So what is the difference between one and the other? I just don't think they respect Will Levis enough to think he's going to make those type of plays often for him. And other parts of it got to play their role in this offense too. But the 7 sacks, inexcusable almost in a sense, man, from one week to the other.
And it's almost like once it starts, it doesn't stop. Like the bleeding just continues to get worse once, you see Will Levis sacked. And you always, have seen with him when he's playing as a starter, you come out and that first drive is always good. Like, it always looks really good. And you're going, oh, man, okay, Will Levis is on. He's finding Calvin Ridley. And then the moment that there's like one mistake, you can see the play kind of digress. And I don't know if he gets more skittish in the pocket, like you were saying, and feels like he doesn't see everything clear. But that's something that I don't know if you can really learn that. I feel like at some point, if it doesn't click, it doesn't click. And I think that's the biggest thing that they're going to have to learn about Will Levis moving forward is it going to click at some point? If it doesn't, I feel like you have to move on. But even Brian Callahan, when asked about Will Levis's play, he didn't say any of that. He didn't say, Will needs to get the ball out quicker. He pretty much said, I think Will is had some good parts of his game today and is progressing, but I just don't see it.
Yeah.
I mean, the first drive is really all that we've seen any progression, right? Like he's looking off the safety and throwing it deep to Calvin Ridley, and then you see him on the TV copy acting out. Like, oh, yeah, did you see how I looked off the safety and then threw it deep to you? Which, his body language and memeability on the sideline is a separate discussion. But at this point, Will Levis is who he is, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
I think so.
And the right tackle is not doing him any favors, to be clear. Leroy Watson is a disaster. John Ojukwu is not much better. We're going to look at some of the PFF numbers. You've got a stark contrast from the left side to the right side in terms of the grades being given. However, the majority of those sacks fall on the QB yesterday, in my opinion. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, the ability to, and I see people in the chat saying the exact same thing, to manipulate the pocket, to know that, look, at the end of the day, I have to stay here and do my job, or the timing of the routes have to be there. If this is the same offense that we saw, and we spoke about this efficiently, like I feel like even in the loss to, who was the most recent one, Detroit, like you efficiently moved the ball and you saw just the signs that, look, this is how this can work.
You turn it over 4 times.
Exactly. You turn, and I mean, we saw that same Detroit team absolutely walk down Houston yesterday, okay? And they curb stomped them at the end of it too, right? So that team is just that good. Now, I ain't saying Mason is that much better than Will Levis, but it seems to me the cohesiveness
or the different, though,
the flow.
The
flow.
There's something different, though, when he's out there.
Exactly.
He throws the ball.
I'm serious.
That's what's different.
You feel more like you're going to get something
accomplished. He doesn't take sacks.
He throws the ball.
This gives a pretty good receiver group a chance to catch the football.
And I just think he works so much better with the offensive line because he trusts them, they trust him, and I just don't think you have that with Will Levis in that line. At least up to this point. I know he's missed some games.
Now let's speak about some stuff that's also was contributing to bad Will Levis play too. So Leroy Watson ended up having 3 false start.
Yeah.
That take him back 1st and 15.
Had a face mask.
Had a face mask that took him back even further on that drive. And then
another false start, the play after the face mask.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. And wasn't it after being like 1st and 5 at that point or something too, if I'm not mistaken? Well, they had those situations come up, and next thing you know, it was like 2nd and 26.
Yeah.
It was a weird succession of plays is what I'm saying too. Like the ability to also surround him with players that make him bulletproof, meaning that, look, foolproof is what we'll call it. I don't want to do bulletproof. Make him foolproof so that he doesn't make these decisions. They aren't there either. Like, so I was thinking about it yesterday at the end of this game, and I'm watching it unfold, right? And I'm watching the pregame of it too. And this is the thing about hardball to me. Like, when they had a coaching change too. And I think it was because of the inept coach, right? The coach that they had before Harbaugh was just a bad coach from what we think. So in that, he inherited a quarterback. Yep. He inherited more ex-players, right, than what this team has, too. So he has the ability to get a better jump on his rebuild than what this team has. The ability to have had Will Levis be surrounded and give him everything just isn't there. Like, respectfully to those guys, they're still the 1% of all athletes that play football in the world. Somewhat, right? The Titans players. Like, it's not enough players on this team, good ones, that make him be a better player too. And I say that to this point right here. Like, coaches get fired because either they're bad coaches or they got bad players too. This team has had a little bit of both over the last couple of years. So this rebuild that you're in right now can't be bought in free agency.
Yeah.
It just can't.
I just think what you just brought up, though, made me instantly think of something. If I removed Will Levis from this equation of the Titans offense right now and you put in Justin Herbert, I feel like that's enough to have a winnable season with just that one part.
You can say that about most teams in the NFL. Herbert's that good.
It's a quarterback.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's what we continue to question.
So more context in the conversation I had with former head coach Ron Rivera was this, though. It was, he said people in Washington blamed him and said he went back up there for a game and said he was talking to them people and they was up there, the media. He was like, so what's the difference this year than last year?
Quarterback.
He said, y'all threw me into the pit of misery when I told you I needed a quarterback. It matters.
Yeah.
And you have
Absolutely
two here that won't get you over the hump when you need them to.
It's the most important position in sports, and the Titans got theirs wrong.
Yeah. You thought it was there.
Hoped. But it's not. 615-737-1045. Eric in Nashville leads us off. Hello, Eric.
Hey, E.
Hey, first of all, guys, I want to say Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans. Salute to you and thank you for your service. Guys, my headline from yesterday's game, and we wouldn't have won the game, guys, I don't think, because we stink, but the replay gods are against us, guys. I don't care what anybody says. That was a fumble, and that's certainly a momentum changer. Now, do we win the game? We probably don't, but it's like we can't catch a break when it comes to that. The last two times with defense, we lost that, and I'm thinking of Joshua Dobbs' play the other way around. They won that, but it's just so frustrating. That was a fumble. I don't care what anybody says. But, guys, as far as the game goes yesterday, you were right on the Josh Washington thing. 2 back-to-back. Nick Folk has a tough field goal that he misses it. I mean, when you're inside like that where you have a shot to get a field goal. In the second half, guys, the drive where I guess we had half the third quarter to get a field goal, bang, 56-yard kick return right after that. That was just so frustrating. Got inside the 20 within like about a minute, and then a few plays later scored a touchdown. And then we back them up to the 5, 95 yards touchdown. It seems like every time we have a positive play, it's like a minute later we do something stupid, whether it's a penalty, a turnover, a touchdown to the other team. We just cannot catch a break, guys. Oh, well, tighten up, guys. Y'all take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
That call was terrible.
Yeah.
That is a fumble.
It was really bad.
Especially because it was called a fumble on the field. And I know we live in this weird nebulous world where that's always going to be the call on the field because the referees have to let it play out in order to determine what the actual situation could be if it was a fumble. But then they just re-refereed the game.
Yeah, they did.
Is what they did after the call was already made. There is no way you could tell me definitively that Justin Herbert had control of that ball in his hand as he released it. I thought it was a terrible call. I thought the Titans deserved to have a halftime lead. I don't think it would have changed the outcome of the game, but we'll never know how much differently this game could have gone had the Titans been rightfully up 14-13 at halftime.
I almost feel like it would have. And I say that because Brian Callahan seemed even so much more defeated when he was asked that question, if that kind of changed things.
So I'm not sure if the cameras were showing him.
We heard.
They showed it coming back from a break in the second half.
But it's like, that's the things, this team is fragile. And so when it comes to...
say that like bliss, they are.
I know,
I'm joking, but
it's very true, right?
You're right,
so in these situations, they can't overcome those things. And I think you look at that, and that is a sign of a not great team, obviously. But I feel like if they would have had that go their way, maybe there would have been a different outcome. But again, they have not showed enough that they can overcome adverse situations. That's an adverse situation. The call didn't go your way. You take 6 off the board.
You know what sucks about it, though? Bad teams don't get them calls. Like, they don't go your
It's
way.
also true.
Say what you want to. Like,
Bad
and I know
quarterbacks versus good quarterbacks.
I'm telling you, you don't get that grace right there, man. You just don't.
Yeah.
But you want to know why? Because Dobbs had one here just like that, right? Didn't that happen too? Like those, like
the
you
Jags?
don't get those. You know what I'm saying? Those moments right there from the referees because the good team's going to get that. Yeah, and that's just how the ball bounces sometimes, and that sucks because you're right, Kayla. In those moments, like if all you know is losing and something bad happens right there, and you know it was supposed to be slanted towards your way, then you nosedive, and that's essentially what happened going into the rest of the game. You were just rubbed to a nub in a sense as the game continued to go on, and
like
it started at that play right there. Yeah, it does.
It would not have changed the result. I mean, the Titans have shown us time and time again. Even with a halftime lead, it doesn't matter. Like they're still the worst second half team in football, but I genuinely believe that was one of the worst calls I've seen all season.
Speaking of worst second half team in football, the point differential. Has that been
minus
brought up?
72
Wild.
was on the broadcast.
Minus
is
72
wild.
in the second half. It just shows you that you're not talented enough to sustain good teams, not even the mediocre teams. I don't even think that much of what the Chargers are.
I don't either. I mean, their defense.
I don't know.
I don't.
I think they looked
They
good
do.
yesterday, but they're beatable. That's what I will say. They are beatable.
I think everybody is, except maybe Kansas City.
Except for Kansas City.
Honestly.
And Pittsburgh.
And honestly,
Find the ways. All right,
I know what you said
relax.
about Detroit coming back
Pittsburgh.
last
He
night.
said,
but
and
Detroit,
Pittsburgh in the same conversation with
Detroit
Kansas
shouldn't
City.
have won that game either.
They're not undefeated.
Yeah.
So, yesterday, NFL Vice President of Instant Replay, Mark Butterworth, who I think should stick to butter and pancakes, told the pool reporter, when asked, you did believe the quarterback had control of the ball as he pushed forward, he said, yes. When his hand was moving forward, he had control. It was tight, and we were going frame by frame. And as his hand was moving forward, he had control and then lost it, so we overturned it to an incomplete pass. Follow-up question from pool reporter Joe Reedy said, what was the angle where you guys decided to overturn? Because the two that were shown on the scoreboard, one from behind the QB, one on the sideline, at least from the video review on the scoreboard, did not look conclusive. What angle did you guys use? Butterworth responds, we were going through angles and there was an enhanced angle from broadcast that we could see the hand coming forward. Again, we're going frame by frame, and the hand was coming forward with control of the ball, and he lost control of the ball. If you have to go frame by frame, it's probably not conclusive.
That's what I was going to say, because if
You're re-refereeing the game.
right, and when you're overturning a call, it has to be like irrefutable evidence, right? And so
That's correct.
if you're going frame by frame, that means to me there's not enough to overturn that.
It was an
But again,
awful call. Didn't impact the game's result, in my opinion, but it was an awful call. 615-737-1045. We'll start with Alex on the phones when we come back. You can join us there. Another pressure stat that is not overly positive for the Titans, according to Next Gen Stats. I'll give that to you next. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance was established in 1926. It is the largest and most comprehensive practice in Tennessee. What's going on? It's Will Bowling. These folks are the leading experts in sports medicine and performance. They're the team physicians for NFL, college, and high school athletes across Tennessee. Fall sports are wrapping up. Winter sports getting started here in the next couple of weeks for high school football, for high school track, for cross country, for soccer, volleyball, you name it, basketball getting started. These are the folks that are going to keep you healthy throughout your high school sports season. And TOA provides sports medicine coverage to more high school and college sports teams than any orthopedic group in the state of Tennessee. You got an injury, you need physical therapy, they will take care of everything for you. And they've got a specialized program designed to enhance athletic performance and provide tailored training solutions for all athletes at all levels. Check them out online, TOA.com. That's Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance with 11 orthopedic urgent care locations. Walk-in availability 7 days a week for those injuries that just cannot wait. Online at TOA.com. RKW Reaction Monday continues here on 104.5 The Zone and streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV. Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, 615-737-1045. How much blame belongs on Will Levis for yesterday's 27-17 defeat to the LA Chargers? Would love to hear from you, 615-737-1045. Guys, yesterday, Tui Pelotu, 5 pressures and 2 sacks on 26 pass rushes against the Tennessee Titans. No, his last name is not Bosa. It's a little bit harder to pronounce. Second straight game with 5 pressures, the highest pressure rate in a game in his career. How many times have we come into a Monday saying that some guy many of you have never heard of just had their best game ever against the Titans offensive line?
It's every week.
Tui Pelotu is the newest one. I just wanted to say the name as many times as I could just to prove to you that I could say it.
Good job. It sounds great. But you're right, too, Will. It's exhausting.
You know what was happening on those plays, though?
Hit me.
You know, if you could go back and watch this, he set that thing up, and then he went back to it. They were legitimately, he beat him inside. He ran down his face, and then the third play it was one in the third quarter, if I'm not mistaken. He got home at that point.
Against who?
Against Leroy. There you go. Against Leroy. And you know what you know what happened after that play? Bud tapped in and he wanted his chance at it too. Well, they were legitimately passing the candy bar around, is what I'm telling you.
Yep.
I've seen this happen before, and I've seen my teammates we got us alive on y'all. Come on. Meet us over here on this left side of the defense. We got us one. And that's what was happening yesterday. They were legitimately passing him around, man. And Bud did the exact same thing. And I will say this, on the ones that Bud got late, those were passing situations. You knew it was going to happen. Levis stepped up into one, not filling the pocket also, right? The one where he knocked the ball out of his hand, Levis ain't fill the pocket. I can get on JC about that, finish your block. There is a conversation be. But the ones that came on the right side of this Titans offensive line, hey, they were hitting their chests. It's hey, it's my turn, y'all. You said I could go next. You remember when Skip Bayless said, it's my turn. That's what they were doing on that Chargers defense. They legitimately said, listen, don't switch out. We got us a live one. And you know what they did, Will? They sacked. They sacked him again. And they sacked him. And if it wasn't a sack, they were getting TFLs, Kayla. They were just running around the horn on that one. So I want to blame Levis. This is why I say percentage-wise, I give about 33% to Levis, right? He said he was coming in, and Coach Callahan said last week, too. Look, the offense is better. Don't mess it up. And what happened to the offense this week? I don't think it got better or stayed the same.
No. And look, you didn't turn the ball over, which is something that he had done in every single game. So at least he, wasn't doing that. But then, you are taking sacks. So it's one of those things that I just feel like he can't get right. He can't even get in the middle with that. Because if it's not one thing, it's the other thing. And again, you can't blame them all on him. But you're right. It is always a get right game, a coming out game for some sort of player or a team as a whole against the Titans.
And that player ain't bad, too.
No, he's not.
Pelotu, right?
Doing it in his own, where he played college ball, too, at USC.
He's actually pretty. It's been a good year for him.
Yeah.
But this was his coming out game, though, the more people know about it.
But I felt like even you guys, Harbaugh putting Hassan Haskins in there.
I mean, I would.
And having him score. It's incredible, though, that this just has to happen every time the Titans have a player that, was there that they let go. And again, that was a thing on special teams. I think a lot of people talked about Haskins being a better special teams player in that case. And then he goes and scores a touchdown on you. It's just, I can never write it up.
It was his college
running back. It's a Michigan man, Hassan Haskins.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
It is.
It happens against them.
Other issue coming up yesterday, special teams. Pretty much at the worst possible moment. You had a 11-play, 62-yard drive. 13-10. Really, if you had a correctly called fumble at the end of the first half, you would have had a 4-point lead. Would have been better.
Yeah.
Would have been, at that point, talking about 17-13. But you're feeling good. All right, come out of the second half with points. Here we go. Come on. All right. And, 56-yard kickoff return.
Yep.
That's gone. And you knew he was dangerous to return, man, the entire week. Like, I know Mike Keefton spoke about it. I know we all did. Like, they have players, man, that can actually get stuff done. Darius Davis is one of their guys, and also J.K. Scott, right? You knew you had some stuff that you could not have happen. And lo and behold, there's the hitting yardage game again, right? Yeah. And at that point, too, like, to your point earlier, Kayla, like, where bad stuff just continues to happen and you get deflated after that, like, it's only so much negativity you can have when you're a losing team that you just fight out of. And at some point, man, you just put the paper in your mouth and just be a muffled screamer at that point. Like, you survived the end of the game is what happened.
It's got to be exhausting, for these players because, if it's not special teams, it's the offense with the turnover, which they did not, again, have in this game. But it's always something. And that's why I continue to use that whack-a-mole reference because it really does make sense. And you're right. You can't seem to crawl out of those situations, even if you got 3 points coming out of the half, like Will said. It doesn't matter because then special teams hurt you, and then that leads to a score. And at that point, it kind of just trickles. You
know what also showed up a little bit yesterday, too? And I know we got to get to the other side of the ball, so I'm going to go ahead and try to lead us into it. At some point, you either need to have somebody in his place or good enough to get to the quarterback or you don't have to expose him. Kenneth Murray, man, has also been a candy bar.
Ooh. Especially in the red zone, I feel like over and over again, we see a touchdown in man coverage to a guy being covered by Kenneth Murray. And Quentin Johnston is a wide receiver this time who was covered by Kenneth Murray. You ask yourself, how the heck is that happening? Well, you hope you're getting to the quarterback soon enough to where a transcontinental route, as Coach Mack would say, against a linebacker doesn't have time to get open. Quentin Johnson had time to go all the way around the formation, make a cup of coffee, finish it, and have a candy bar in the break room before he got into the end zone to finally catch that ball and complete, again, a 43-yard touchdown drive for a Chargers team that had a short field.
Yeah. Somebody say it was zone on the backside. That's not strictly on Murray. No, you're wrong. Okay. All right. You're wrong on this one. You know why? Because here's my thing. If I can survive you long enough, to your point, Will, I can find my duck. I can find the candy bar. And that's what's happening in those moments. You saw Herbert light up like a light. Like, that wasn't like a great pass. He just said, oh, that's him.
He just stood there for about 10 seconds and then finally threw it.
And then, okay, if that wasn't the case, well, what about the one the DPI'd in? Right? That also gave them points.
It's happened time and time again. It doesn't matter, man or zone, whatever it is. I mean, you were on the field, you would know.
Exactly.
Like, Kenneth Murray is consistently the guy that teams are going against in pass coverage.
I'm looking for him is what I'm saying.
Right. 100%. 615-737-1045. We'll get to Steve first up when we come back. The sack fumble that was not called. We've talked about it a little bit. You'll hear from Brian Callahan what they had to say, what the Titans felt was the issue, and the pool report that, again, interesting yesterday to say the least out of the Titans' loss in Los Angeles. Hour 2 of Reaction Monday continues next.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson with my friends at We Grow Hair. Was just in there this weekend, popped in, did the laser treatment, definitely helping me grow my hair back along that hairline. And you might think, no, you're not losing any hair. But here's the thing. All of us at some point can lose up to 50% of our hair before we even notice it. I'm not going to stand around and let it happen. I've been doing this with my hair grow journey for about 6 months now. They have great treatments at We Grow Hair. PRP, platelet-rich plasma treatment. I've done those. Those are great in terms of getting your hair some results in about 2 months. The FDA-approved lasers I was talking about, that's helping me restore my hair. It's a simple 30-minute treatment, painless. You're in and out the door. They also have their trademarked hair transplant procedure. That's going to give you 3 times more hair in just one procedure if you want to go that route. You cannot buy this cutting-edge technology online, folks. Go ahead and check out We Grow Hair. They are the premier medical clinic right here in Nashville. Go to wegrowhair.com or schedule a free evaluation by simply calling 615-376-6010. That's 615-376-6010.
What's going on? 7 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Titans fall in California to the Chargers 27-17 in his return to the field. Will Levis wasn't bad statistically, finishing 18 of 23 for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns, but held the ball too long, sacked 7 times. Both of his touchdowns went to Calvin Ridley, the first of which was from 42 yards out.
Play fake, Levis looking, firing deep downfield. There's Ridley at the 5. Ridley in the end zone. Touchdown, Titans! Ridley smokes Taylor on the big throw.
Chargers move to 6-3, while the Titans fall to 2-7, currently holding the 3rd overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Sunday Night Football, Texans can't hold the Lions down as Detroit creeps back in the game to win it 26-23. The Lions are the first team since 1970 to throw 5 interceptions, trail by 15 points, and still come back to win the game. Tonight, Monday Night Football, you got the Cool Coach Bowl as the Rams take on the Dolphins. Kickoff for that at 7:15. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Herbert takes one knee, he will take a second, and we are done. Everyone moves to the middle of the field to shake hands, and this is complete. The Chargers are 6-3, the Titans are 2-7. After the Chargers beat the Titans 27-17.
27-17, Chargers over Titans through Week 10. The Titans are 2-7. React here with us, 615-737-1045. We're going to diagnose the Titans' pass blocking problems with Will Levis in the game versus Mason Rudolph in the game. The live PFF grades yesterday, guys, tell a story, a very clear story about the Titans and the offense yesterday. We'll tell you what that story is coming up here in 15 minutes. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, Robert Walsh is our producer. Ramon, have you ever seen Brian Callahan on the sideline angrier than what he was to the referees at the end of the first half yesterday as a fumble touchdown becomes an incomplete pass and 6 points for the Titans are wiped off the board?
Yeah, I have.
At Will Levis?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. When that went
So
viral.
Brian Callahan on a scale of 1 to what the bleep are you doing talking to Levis?
Yeah.
He was that mad at the officiating crew.
He was, though. Like, seriously. And he stayed after well into halftime talking to him. I ain't going to say well into halftime. He spent about a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes into it. And you can see the referee, the head ref at the time, like somewhat explaining to him like it wasn't on us. It wasn't. And I think the call did come from New York as far as the overturning of that play. But he was not okay with it. Like, he didn't just lie down and just take his licks right there. As a coach, he expressed it. But here's the thing about it. There was nothing that really went their way after that. Most times in those situations, I say if a bad call was made, oh, we'll get that back. We'll get that back. There was no get back to be had in the game yesterday. And I think that's what makes it that makes it worse than it actually was, too, is there was no, hey, well, they returned the favor moment. He was beyond livid yesterday because I think he knew in that moment it could go downhill, and it did.
Yeah, it's exhausting sometimes when you're a team like this that just can't find ways to win consistently when things don't go your way. And unfortunately, this has been a thing that we've talked a lot about this season is things not going your way, the ball not bouncing your way. Yeah. It did bounce their way in that New England game, and that's why they felt like there was a little bit of something taken off their shoulder as they won the turnover battle. But now it's things like this, like where a call changes, you can't say definitively would change the outcome, but I do feel like it would give them some different type of momentum going into the half. Hey, we have something to build on. We got the lead, right? And it was deflating. And you could even tell after the game when Callahan was asked about it, how deflating that was.
The exact quote from Brian Callahan is interesting to me because we did learn new info when he talked to the media. Titans head coach saying, I thought it was going to stand on the field. They initially told me it was going to stand. And then they took another look at it as I walked away. And then as I came back, they told me it was going to be overturned.
Yep.
And that was all the explanation that I got. Callahan adds, quote, I'll let you guys decide what you think the call should have been. I don't want to lose any money.
Yeah. And you know the other thing about that replay too, if you slow it down, and he said the buttermilk, what was the guy's name?
Mark Butterworth.
Butterworth.
Mr. Butterworth.
My bad, Mr. Buttersworth. What I'm saying is
Got it wrong that time too.
I got it wrong that time too.
You said Buttersworth. There you go, throwing an S on things again.
It was a slippery call is what I'm telling you. Okay? It was a slippery call,
How
man.
dare you disrespect the Butterworth name?
That's what I'm saying, man. Well, there's a lot of
That
people
family built this country.
Hey, it's a lot of folks in Nashville disrespecting him and all of his lineage, okay, at this point. But what happens when you replay and you slow it down, you can see what you want to see in those moments, too. Like, real action time, that is a touchdown. What sucks about it is I do some freelance stuff where I got to watch some tape, too, right? If you slow it down, you'll see what you think you want to see. One thing I was always told about, like, evaluate it in real time. Because slowing it down frame by what they did almost looked like they was looking for a reason not to give the ball to the Titans in that moment. And maybe that's conspiracy theory side of what's going on, because when it's bad, it always stays bad in these moments. So it sucks for the Titans in that one. You can't get it back now.
That quote, by the way, from Mr. Butterworth, it was tight and we were going frame by frame and his hand was moving forward. He had control and then lost it.
Don't say that.
Again, that
out
is
loud,
the VP of replay in a pool report after the game. If you were not with us
that
earlier.
was the VP.
Do you want to hear that as a
Butterworth's
coach?
explanation.
Like, it was tight.
What'd you say?
Like, do you guys want to hear
tight.
that as a
No.
coach, though? Like, it was a tight call.
No, it doesn't make you feel any better, does it?
It makes it worse almost.
I don't want to hear them saying, hey, this is the call,
Yeah.
and then coming back to you 2 minutes later when the game has essentially been re-officiated and saying, hey, actually, this is the new call.
Right, because it wasn't
And
even
giving
like
no explanation.
Yeah, it wasn't like, hey, it was that's overturned. It's like we had to go frame by frame and with our magnifying glass investigate when the hand actually,
Yeah.
615-737-1045. Steve is in Franklin. Hey, Steve.
Hey, good morning, guys.
morning.
Hey, I'm not blaming much of this on Will Levis. He does hold on the ball too long, but this is the defense giving Justin Herbert all day to throw the ball. When he wasn't throwing for first downs, he was running for first downs, and it reminded me a lot of the Colts game when they let Joe Flacco stand back there all day. And, of course, the special teams play was horrible. But, yeah, I think the lack of pass rush was terrible in the game.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
I think we got to have a conversation about this defense.
Let's do it.
The number one defense in the NFL phrase
Yeah.
really is just a statistical comparison only for them yardage-wise. This is not a great defense right now.
Sorry, Will.
No, go ahead.
The thing that stuck out to me with that specifically in terms of them not doing their job yesterday, it was death by 1,000 paper cuts is what Brian Callahan referred to as what happened with this defense yesterday. He said it was nothing in one thing. It wasn't one thing.
Oh.
It's like they kind of bled you out is what he was referring to, in the way that they did it offensively on the Chargers side. One thing that I also noticed, guys, in the last 2 weeks, and we saw it with Malik Willis too, them having quarterbacks that can move, they haven't done well with that too. And I know Herbert isn't just, thought of right away as a mobile quarterback, but he was moving yesterday.
He was, man. And again, looking at this, and specifically yesterday, I was looking at just the way the defense did deteriorate for the most part, right? Like the depth that you thought you were going to have or the guys that was going to step up, like it's not there in an extreme fashion. Like the way you saw the Chargers just employ guy after guy to get after the quarterback. The Titans don't have that too. The ability to also be good down the field as far as the secondary to get like coverage sacks isn't good enough either. And if you also blitz, then you got guys that's getting beating over the middle. Like I think some people took what I said about Kenneth Murray in a bad way as far as like, oh, he's getting exposed. But this is also what happens when you got a good offensive line that can protect for your quarterback. And not that he's being targeted, but at some point, if I see him in coverage, I'm going to go his way. So being able to supplement like a guy that shouldn't be in coverage, You got to have a dude there that can at least disrupt or trade out to where you don't have him exposed. That's game planning right there. And with what you're left with when you trade away, who was here before him? Ernest Jones, right? A guy that's supposed to be good in coverage. Well, you don't have anybody to cover him up, at least in a sense. You don't have anybody to cover up Kenneth Murray in coverage. So he has to go in coverage. Because you know the other option behind Kenneth Murray? Dr. Gibby.
Well, and Jerome Baker,
Jerome Baker,
did
who
not
hasn't
play
played?
at all yesterday.
And to whatever fault that is, that Gibby, the last 2 weeks before he got here, all right, Jerome Baker got to learn the defense, et cetera, right?
It's been 2 weeks,
And
right?
Gibby
and
had,
it's similar.
He had been good enough, plus you had a win with Gibby, too.
Right.
So you already
I do
say,
get
well,
that.
we'll roll with him again. That's just the dynamic of a team makeup. Looking at what's his name? Jerome Baker. He looks like he's a guy that's fast and quick in his space, but you got to also have a guy out there that can understand the defense, and you don't have that. Again, this has just been a washing of all things and hoping that it's going to work. Like, you still got stains on those genes of yours with guys that you have on this team. This is, to me, a problem of talent. I'd also say it's talent at this point.
And that's
It's just
frustrating
it. It
because
is.
L'Jarius Sneed and Chidobe Awuzie were brought over here to be the guys. Those were upgrades. We're talking
True,
about
too.
L'Jarius
And they're
Sneed,
out.
a two-time Super Bowl champion who everybody was excited about, and rightfully so. And he has literally been out because he's nursing a quad, injury. I don't know what else is going on with this. Chidobe had injuries, wasn't even in training camp, missed majority of the games. And you're right. You're asking a rookie now to step up and a third stringer for the most part.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
It's fighting an uphill battle each week, and you need a whole lot of good to happen, and right now it's not there. And I don't know if it's going to be there anytime soon, too.
And I think it also prevented them from moving actually tradable assets at the NFL trade deadline, because moving guys who can get after the passer for the rest of 2024 is secondary to the issue of, hey, that actually makes your 2025 team worse as well.
It does.
Yeah.
Because you probably aren't going to have Arden Key next season. Harold Landry, we'll see. Jeffrey Simmons, you got to build around somebody. Tavondre Sweat is obviously there, but after that, you're going to like Ollie Gay. You're going to James Harrell. You've got a significant question mark in the present and future of how you're going to get after the quarterback moving forward. And the secondary is showing weaknesses because of how little pressure there is. Jarvis Brownlee's shown potential. The guy's had a couple of really rough weeks as he's been thrust into a bigger role. And I can't totally put the blame on him because he's getting no help from the guys up front. Absolutely none. Justin Herbert could have been a statue. That could have been 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers back there again yesterday. You still would have lost that game. 615-737-1045. I'm going to take a look at some PFF numbers in-game, stats that have not been finalized, but the initial grades on the Titans offensive line yesterday, they tell you a story about why Will Levis took 7 sacks. We'll talk about that next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. Do you have a ceiling light fixture that flickers? Do you need an extra outlet or two? Or, hey, is it just that you got wall switches that don't seem to work? Some days they're great. Some days, not so much. Well, these all seem to be simple issues. However, they are rarely do-it-yourself projects. Dealing with electricity, that requires the expertise of an experienced professional. Maybe you're like me. You try messing around with the electricity, and then everybody's sitting in the dark for the rest of the afternoon. Just call the pros over at Lee Company. Their electrical team can solve any problem you have safely and efficiently. And right now, you can enjoy $20 off an electrical service call for a limited time. Just call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or head online, schedule an appointment at leecompany.com. That's 615-567-1000. Get $20 off an electrical service call for a limited time when you call my friends at Lee Company. 615-567-1000, online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. Former Titan Bud Dupree, 2 sacks on 1 drive. 2 of the 7 sacks Will Levis took yesterday in a 27-17 defeat to the LA Chargers inside SoFi Stadium. React to it with us here this morning at 615-737-1045. 7 sacks yesterday. Mason Rudolph this season has taken 6. He has played in 4 games and started 3. Essentially, he's played 4 full games, really 3.8 full games with when he came off the bench in Miami. Ramon, from your perspective as an 11-year NFL veteran on the offensive line and from someone who was on the sideline yesterday in L.A., by the way, thanks for being here on short rest. Where is the breakdown and how much blame belongs on the offensive lineman or on the quarterback? Because something is different when Will Levis gets in there versus Mason Rudolph.
You got a two-headed monster a little bit going on in a sense. One, the personnel on the right side just ain't that good. I'll go right tackle because I'll say I ain't hear too much out of ratings yesterday, which is fair,
Gave
right?
up 1 sack.
Yeah, last one.
Yeah, but it's also
still fair.
Just how fluid the offense is, too. I think the operation's a little bit different with Levis in. It's something I've said for a while. Why is that number always up when he's in there? Either he's not computing right as far as getting the ball out and finding his reads and also trusting it, too. Like, that's the other thing behind it. Like, there is a such thing as NFL open. You don't have to wait for them to come out of their break sometimes, right? And he had a couple of them with NWI yesterday.
Over the middle of the field, the slant, the deep ball to Ridley, where he kind of threw him open a little bit. There were moments.
There were moments, but not enough of them for you to make me believe that this is real. Those are the things that you're running into when you deal with a guy like Levis, man, from what we've seen here in Nashville. Those are the things. And, yes, the personnel of what's going on with John Ojukwu at right tackle and Leroy Watson, that's not great either. So you compound those things, Will, with a guy that's not steady in the pocket and is unaware. Like, it's one of those times he rolled out to the right side of the offense, and it wasn't like an in-the-box sack, but it was a behind the line of scrimmage as he was scrambling and couldn't get to the edge or get even with the line of scrimmage to get out. That, to me, Will, screams awareness. That, to me, also says throw the friggin' ball away and screw your percentage. I don't give a damn about your QBR or your rating or anything else. Like, give us an opportunity to win. And I don't think there's enough of those that are happening to where guys will chuck the ball away and say, you know what?
Yeah. I'll
live another down. But here's the other thing, too. I know vets that do that will take a sack. Right? Aaron Rodgers would do it. We see Russell Wilson do it. There's other Brady could do it, right? But here's the thing behind it. Those guys are also good enough that they can get those yards back.
It's interesting because his numbers and, our teammate Zach Lyons had tweeted out in terms of where he lands and ranks this week in week 10. His numbers are not bad. The problem is what you're saying, Ramon, is it does always look, though, no matter what, once he gets back in, that whether it be the sacks or in previous games, the turnovers, whatever it is, it always kind of overtakes everything else in terms of what he's done right in a game.
Every single time.
And that's where at some point the tables have got to turn on that, because to the, average viewer and the average fan, we're looking at the overall picture. And if your quarterback can't do enough to help his team win a game, you're not going to just break down all those little things. Maybe slowly he is getting better in certain categories, but it's the main categories, the sacks, the interceptions, that we don't see improvement. He did not turn the ball over this game, and that's a good sign. But at the same time, then you're though having 7 sacks. He's had 8. The most this season was back in Green Bay. This was coming close to that. And again, it takes away from so much else in terms of what his game was good at.
And another one, too, that blew my mind, man. So you mean to tell me we're in the tight red zone, and I don't know if it was the only option that you had or that's where he chose to go, but going to Josh Wiley?
I didn't like that.
Yeah, that seemed to be another one of those predetermined reads.
One of those predetermined reads right there. And those are the things that make it hard for you to root for a guy like Will Levis in those moments. Like, I get Josh Wiley can have a matchup, and in that one, you overthrew it like crazy. And then on top of that, you got to feel like there was a better option. Now, I don't know if that's structure of the offense or that's his decision making.
Yeah, that to me, I think Brian Callahan can share some of the blame on that one. Why are we targeting Josh Wiley one-on-one on a fade route in the red zone? Gotta have a better call than that.
He's not proven to have had those many times either and won.
I love this from Matt on YouTube. Writes in. What's going on, Matt? Good morning.
What's up, Matt?
Says, color me shocked. The UT homers are bashing Levis this morning. Everyone knows he isn't the future, but he was better yesterday than he has been all year. Yeah, at what?
Describe better.
Tell me what he was better at other than not throwing a memeable interception.
Completion rate?
Because to me, that was the only difference between Will Levis yesterday and earlier this season. And if that's your bar on something that we can't criticize, you got to have higher expectations about quarterback play in the NFL. The guy, again, didn't throw for 200 yards, and your offense scored 17 points. Really, they scored 10.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got a garbage time touchdown to Calvin Ridley on, I'll say it, a good throw. But got to be honest with ourselves here, Matt, and anyone else out there with that opinion. Like 22 sacks taken in 5 games when the other quarterback has 6 sacks taken in 4 games. Come on.
Yeah.
We got to be honest with ourselves. It doesn't matter where Ramon and I went to college or where any of us went to college. That is significantly worse in terms of taking hits, taking sats, taking pressure, and never having the ability to either make a throw with somebody in your face or evade a rush and make a positive play.
You also want to know why we hold on to the conversation of the quarterback too? Because here's the thing behind it. Your franchise goes on the shoulders of a quarterback or legs too, depending in today's game where you have dual threat quarterbacks, right? So and we're speaking about wins and losses. I've always been taught, for the guy who's critical of us being Tennessee alum, go Vols, that the good quarterbacks win half the games by themselves, either through their playmaking or their effectiveness of making their teammates better. One of the two have to happen. Yesterday we saw a good quarterback in Justin Herbert, man, that made plays with his legs and also made his wide receivers better and his running backs and just the flow of that offense. Like I told you guys yesterday, I had a long conversation with Coach Ron Rivera. And in this league, he said, like, your franchise is based upon the franchise quarterback. Now, we're talking about wins and losses. And this guy had the entire offseason to grab this team by a chokehold and make it his squad. And they gave him every opportunity to, right? Like, and here's the thing about it. Okay, well, his weapons might not be what you need them to. Well, guess what good quarterbacks do? Make them good. Yeah. We saw a guy yesterday in Russell Wilson. I'm going to use Pittsburgh, for instance. We saw a guy in Russell Wilson yesterday have a wide receiver be traded to him in week 1 and immediately gave Mike Williams a touchdown on the day. Like, Mike Williams ain't did nothing, really, in the New York Jets offense. But that's what good quarterbacks do, correct? That's how you also make your team better, right? You do those types of things. Who was Nico Collins before C.J. Stroud got there?
I'll do you one better. Who was Nick Westbrook-Akine before Mason Rudolph came into the lineup this season?
Okay.
Like the touchdown streak ended in the 4 games that Mason Rudolph played.
And then where was Nick Vanette? Right? Another guy that Mason Rudolph.
Block.
But as far as the passing game goes, he had flow with Mason Rudolph. The reason we speak about this quarterback, because people are fired because of bad play at the quarterback position.
That's right.
That's why. Your free agents, your franchise, it gives itself up to a guy that's that good. So this ain't a Tennessee versus Kentucky. We smacked them more times in my lifetime than I am.
Kentucky's not good enough for us to really care about them.
It ain't even like that. Here we are championing a guy that's from the University of Alabama that's had the Tennessee's number for years in J.C. Latham. Derrick Henry was called King Henry here.
It's a lazy argument.
Jeffrey Simmons we played against Mississippi State this past weekend for homecoming. So the school you went to doesn't indicate who we support or don't support. If you bad, we got to call you bad. Because if we sell you anything else, then we're unbelievable. We might as well cancel this show.
Quick, there are Tennessee fans that are way too quick to spike the football and criticizing Levis. We have also criticized those people.
Yes.
And said there are a lot of lazy Vols fans out there who just because he got picked before Hendon Hooker will never forgive Levis for that and will always be way too harsh on him. We have criticized those people as well. So anyway,
where are you at on this one, Kayla? As an outsider,
bring it back.
I
mean,
Kayla.
I think I've been pretty honest in my opinion of Will Levis, and we talk to him all the time. I think he's a great competitor. There's a lot of things that I like about him, but there's a lot of things that, for me, as somebody who watches a game and covers a game, you're not progressing fast enough. And I know that it's a what have you done for me lately? You got to do it now. But this is what I'm sorry, this is the reality. I know people don't want to hear that all the time. And, Brian Callahan wants to give him time to develop. The problem is you just don't have that time in this NFL day and age. And for me, it's not progressing fast enough. And you got time to sit, right? Was that the problem? Well, now you come back, and that doesn't seem to have changed much,
didn't we,
right?
Kayla?
He's had things to help his growth, whether that be sitting behind Rudolph, whether that be going in himself and playing in games. Yes, you did not turn the ball over. I want to see that consistently, though. One game, though, I'll give him credit. He did not do that. But again, you sacrifice some sacks, though, which does not help in any situation. He did find a better connection with Calvin Ridley, you guys. He found him 5 times. He targeted 9 times. 5 of those were catches for 84 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yes, the garbage touchdown at the end of the game. He did not find NWI for a touchdown. He was 3 for 3 on that, though. So he did find a little bit of cohesion with the guys that he had not before. However, the end result was not even close to what it needed to be. And I think that's the issue with Will moving forward. There hasn't been great enough steps to really say he's the guy. He's not convincing.
It's that last statement was probably the best summary of everything you just said. It ain't convincing. And there's other issues. Defensively, they got some stuff they got to get to the quarterback.
It was not good.
Linebacker play is a detriment at this point too, right? Young secondary, getting guys help.
Sure.
There's
more issues than just quarterback.
It is more than just him.
But he was worse than what the stat sheet said yesterday. Make no mistake about it. If you didn't watch this game, you're looking at the paper, okay, Will Levis, 18 of 23, no turnovers, a couple touchdowns, 127 quarterback rating. Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty good. You got sacked 7 times. Guys, if you're not throwing for 200 yards in today's NFL, you had a bad game. Unless you are in the situation the Titans were in Miami, where you can just run it every time and get 7 or 8 yards pretty much anytime you want to on the ground, that's one thing. If you don't throw for 200 yards in today's NFL, then there is a problem. So I don't care about the quarterback rating. I literally could not care less that he had a 127 quarterback rating yesterday. Watch the game. How many times did you yell, throw it, at your TV yesterday? Because I did about 5 or 6 times. I'll raise my hand. He just doesn't throw the ball. And the sack to pressure percentage, again, we said it, Mason Rudolph, 11% of the time in 4 games, pressures would turn into sacks. Yesterday for Will Levis, 44% of the time he was pressured, he got sacked. Oof. That is not NFL quarterback level. That's not Power 5 quarterback level. We're talking like Kennesaw State quarterback level. Owls taking a stray this morning.
Yeah,
sorry,
man,
y'all just fired your coach. That's tough. But we're talking like very, very low level quarterback play yesterday from Will Levis. If his first read is there, he looks like $1 million.
Looks good.
If he can rip it down the field to Calvin Ridley, slant over the middle to Nick Westbrook-Akine, fade route, screens, you name it. Yeah, he's got a quarterback rating because all he's throwing is screens and go balls. There ain't nothing else that Will Levis can do because the guy doesn't know how to go to his second read. Watch the games.
And at this point, doesn't that have to happen? We've been saying this until we're blue in the... I mean, how many times have we said that he doesn't go to his second read? We say this every time that he steps in and plays at quarterback. So can that change? Or is that just...
I don't think so, because this is who he was in college, too.
But so that's that side.
He's having the same issues he had at Kentucky.
What sucks is he don't have the time. I will say that also. Like he can potentially be a better pro down the line for another team, potentially.
Like a Sam Darnold, like down the line you find it.
There's a multitude of guys that can have that conversation. But the exact same thing also happened in Jacksonville yesterday too with Mac Jones too, right? Didn't he have a mess up or two in that game for the Jaguars also? So sometimes your reputation just are who you are at these points too. And it's okay to say that. Like if a dude is a slow guy, well, guess what, man? He ain't ever going to be fast. I don't care how much he trains. Right. It's that simple with certain guys. And the issues that you have when we discuss this quarterback like future is this. What have you seen for the people that, want to defend him that you can say, man, we going to get something out of him.
Yeah, all the people who keep saying he improved yesterday. Improved at what? Give me specifics.
And here's a stat, too. We were talking about that first drive always looks good for the most part, as it's mostly scripted, right? Here's something that John Glennon wrote about in the Nashville Post. He said, Levis led the Titans to only 48 yards on 9 plays on the final 3 series of the first half. Of course, in that the first series, you marched 72 yards for a score on that first drive. But then it always is it quickly goes away.
Teams adjust.
It's false.
Teams adjust, and they pick up what you got. Again, I got to give it to Callahan yesterday. This first opening script was phenomenal. I got to give that to him. I thought the second was on his way to being there, but of course, penalties happen, and can you get out of those situations? When a penalty happens on this squad and y'all watching on TV or in the stadium, what's your first thoughts? Do you think there's going to be a drive that you can overcome? Probably not, more times than not. If you go 1st and 15, you got a lot of sledding in front of you.
I'd love to go back and look at all my tweets that after that first series, I'm so excited. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it is. Like we're connecting with Cal. Okay. And then it just completely changes.
Yesterday, the initial PFF numbers that again become under review and pretty much get finalized, right? Like the day after the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Initial numbers though credited offensive linemen with 4 of the 7 sacks. So I'll let you do the math on where the other 3 come from. It's from the quarterback.
It's on the quarterback.
Nick Vannett, Tajay Spears, Dylan Radins, John Ojukwu. In terms of the live PFF numbers, pretty much right after the game, were each credited with a sack allowed. Peter Skoronski and J.C. Latham were terrific in this game in terms of pass protection, according to the PFF numbers. J.C. Latham got an 87.3 pass block grade initially. Again, some of these numbers will change.
Before you go real quick, though, too, what does it do for you moving forward for him? For the people that had questions, can he play left tackle?
No, he can definitely play left tackle.
That makes you
That needs to be shut down.
So is that, right?
Peter Skoronski, a 78.4 pass block grade. 1 hurry, 1 pressure allowed. Dan Brunskill was good.
Yeah.
In pass protection. 1 hit, 1 pressure. 78.0 pass block grade. So again, you'll probably see those numbers look different today when those do become finalized, and hopefully that happens during our show. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But you see 4 sacks attributed to offensive linemen according to the initial review by PFF.
And 3 is what we just said, pocket presence, understanding when to get rid of the ball.
And one of them he rolled out too and could have run and then just got tackled behind the line. Like in name, that goes down as a sack.
Chuck it.
Yeah.
Like just either toss it out of bounds or dive forward, buddy. Your thoughts on the phones next, 615-737-1045. Maybe you think we're being too harsh on Will Levis. Well, let us know. 615-737-1045. We keep hearing people say, he got better yesterday. I would love to hear specifically where you thought he got better.
Call us.
Coming up next on 104.5 The Zone. Hey, what's up? It's Will Bowling. A home game in Nissan Stadium this week means we are tailgating again. Gray and Dudley, the Bankers Alley Hotel. You can join me there before Titans and Vikings. 221 2nd Avenue North. We've taken the party inside as the weather gets a little bit colder. Stop by. You can park there for a discounted rate. $20 parking, valet parking right there. If you just stop inside Gray and Dudley, you get some food in their fantastic restaurant right in there. 221 2nd Avenue North. Guys, it is so easy to get out of the game day traffic because on that side of downtown, the game day traffic is a lot easier leaving the stadium. Coming out with us starting at 9:30 this Sunday, 221 2nd Avenue North at the Bankers Alley Hotel.
Hey, you all know Nashville is one of the hottest cities in America to live in. but that also means you definitely want a local real estate agent that knows the area well. And I got one for you. My friend Bernie Gallerani is who you can trust. And you might say, well, why can I trust him? Because Bernie has been taking care of his clients for years, and he backs it up with his instant cash offer. You can have your home sold in 2 weeks or less. Even better, you can choose when you want to move, and there is absolutely no catch to it. If you want a real estate team that's going to go above and beyond, look no further. Bernie Gallerani Real Estate is here to make your buying and selling experience simple. Just ask Barbara Corcoran of Shark Tank. Y'all know her. Bernie is the only real estate agent she recommends right here in Nashville. It sounds simple because it simply is. Bernie is the real deal, so real that he guarantees to sell your home in 30 days, or he's just going to buy it from you. If you all are ready for a smooth, stress-free home buying and selling journey, call the only agent I would contact to sell my home, Bernie Gallerani. In fact, call him on his personal cell phone at 615-428-2644. That's 615-428-2644, or go to BernieGallerani.com.
RKW 104.5 The Zone. Ramon, Kayla, and Will. 615-737-1045 is the number. Dominic in Nashville leads us off as we close out hour number 2. Dominic, what's up?
Man, what's up, guys and gals? Good morning to y'all.
What's up, man?
Man, I agree with you, Will. Like, I think he didn't have like a clock, man. Like I feel like he pushed himself into some of those sacks as well by holding the ball. I was yelling at the TV too, like just throw it away, do something. But I think the man has too much mayonnaise going on or something on his hands or something. But Nicole Briscoe with the ESPN, I don't know if it's Friday morning or Saturday morning or whatever it is, early. She has a Will Levis segment saying he's like the gift that keeps on giving about how bad he is.
No way.
Doinks and stuff. Like, if the national media, that's what they're thinking about our quarterback as in being so slaw. I don't like slaw meaning is just sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he didn't really get better yesterday. I don't know why people are thinking that. He got better at scooting himself into sacks. Like, I'm sorry. It's disappointing to watch, and it hurts sometimes because, like you said, you're sitting there yelling at the TV like, throw the ball away. Or just like he didn't know, he didn't have the Brock Purdy, the anticipation.
Yeah.
He doesn't do any of those throws. It's like he has to have 2 or 3 steps ahead of somebody before he throws it.
Yeah.
But
Thank you, Dominic.
that's all.
Appreciate the call.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
I, for one, would not stand for coleslaw slander, though. I will say that. Don't you ever. Some pulled pork.
You're a big fan
I'm trying
of
to keep it
coleslaw.
light here. You know
I
what I'm
did, by
saying?
the way. There was a game day sign in Baton Rouge over the weekend that said Jalen Milroe orders no toast double slaw at Cane's.
Oh, goodness.
You get double fries, don't
Bill
you?
Rowe did
That's
cook
the
this
joke.
weekend.
That's the joke.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. This went over
Cane's
my
is
head
based
right
in
there
Baton
for a second,
Rouge.
man.
I know. Let's go to Dre up next in Nashville. What's up, Dre?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, man, I just want to say I want to make this statement. It seems like when they have Rudolph is okay. It's like when they have him in, it's like a machine. You're looking into a machine, and it's running smoothly. Now, when he gets in, it's like you throwing like a piece of metal into the machine, and the machine starts to pop and starts to crack. And you know what I'm saying? It's not working. And you guys are. I just want to know, like, when are the excuses going to be up? How much time are they going to give him to get it together? And one more thing. I'm 6'4", 215 pounds. I have great accuracy. I got pocket awareness. If y'all need me, I can get y'all boys some work.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
Talking about,
Thank you, Dre.
baby.
A couple SEC teams that might be calling you up as well. Do you have NCAA eligibility?
Do we also just need callers to give the measurables at this point?
Dre, how far
Yeah,
can you
right?
throw an orange? Call us back later.
615-737-1045.
No doubt.
I love it.
I did want to mention too, now while we're on the note of just this team, why they just can't get over the hump, why they can't find wins consistently. And there are mistakes that are new all the time, but there are also mistakes that continue to happen. And I think that is frustrating. And we talk about Levis all the time. There's also the penalties that keep popping up that are hurting these drives, that are putting them behind the chains. They're the fourth most penalized teams in terms of average per game. They've got 7.7 that they're averaging per game. That's just behind Seattle, Baltimore, and Cleveland. Obviously, you don't get on teams like Baltimore for those types of things because they're winning ball games. But when you're a team that's not winning them and you consistently have those issues with the penalties and some of those things, that starts to add up as an issue.
You got to be good enough to overcome those.
Yeah.
And you're not right now.
To the point about Will Levis taking sacks when other quarterbacks are not, the pressure to sack percentage is essentially a stat around the NFL that says the percentage of time you are pressured, it results in a sack. Will Levis, among quarterbacks who started week 1, who have been starting QBs this year, came into yesterday's game with the second worst pressure to sack percentage of any quarterback in the NFL. Only Deshaun Watson had more pressures that were turning into sacks than Will Levis at 28%. Well, yesterday, Levis was pressured and sacked 43% of the time he was pressured. That number's probably going to go up. And Will Levis will have the worst percentage of pressure to sacks of any starting quarterback in the NFL this year.
That's
rough.
Now, a little bit of context. We got to say his right tackle situation is not the best.
His
in
right
the
tackle
NFL.
stinks.
It's not.
Totally stinks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, rotating.
But
right
you also,
tackle.
this is another thing, too. You got to be smart enough to know where your hot spots are at. Like, if you know you only got so much time, then you also got to get rid of the ball. And they're giving tight end help from time to time. But doing that also stops your offense from being productive, too. You know, and that's the other side of trying to stay in and help. Like, find your hots if that's the case, or manipulate the pocket a little bit better.
And isn't that what Mason did do? Because, look, it was not different for Mason Rudolph. Yes, he had a different center, but we're talking about that right side.
Roscoe had a good day according to PFF,
Exactly.
though.
So Rudolph still had the rotating right tackle, too.
Yeah, he did.
That problem wasn't changed for him, and he was able to take less snaps. He just looked more comfortable at times, or knew what to do, or get the ball out quicker, or throw it away. Just the processing, it just is night and day.
Yeah.
Matthew is in Franklin up next. Hey, Matthew.
Good morning, people. How's everybody?
Good.
Matthew. Good morning.
Got breaking news. The Titans have new naming rights for the new stadium. It's going to be called the Roomba. All they do is run around in circles and suck.
I think we've had like so many comedians come on the show.
Dog.
We don't even know it.
Matthew, you too old to be playing like this on the radio, man.
What he's saying is run around and suck.
Run around in circles and suck.
Run around in circles.
Hey,
Jeez.
man. Bert, you a fool for playing into what Matthew had going on right there, too. I just want to throw you under the bus a little bit, too, Bert, just so you know.
Keith in Hendersonville next.
My gosh.
Hey, Keith.
Yeah, what's going on? Y'all was looking as far as progress with Levis. I mean, he didn't throw no picks. That's progress.
Right.
I don't even think he got any turnovers.
No, he didn't.
That's progress to me. The other games, he was trying to make plays. This game, he sort of stuck to the game plan, and when it was time to run over people, he let it go. To me, he put it on the line. And then you look at that right side, the boy didn't have no time to throw the ball. He tried to make a play, and then we look at him like, damn. So, I mean, sounds like he don't get no love from us.
Real quick.
Because he made progress.
I wanted that one. I wanted to also ask him, do you want him to be your franchise quarterback moving forward?
I got to see more. You know why? Because that right side is terrible. You look at Willis out there in Green Bay, he looked like Joe Montana with a good line. Give me a good line. We can make a better assessment.
Thank you, Keith. It looks like a good line with Mason Rudolph. They allowed the least amount of sacks in the NFL in 4 weeks of Mason Rudolph. So I don't know what else you need to see.
Who was that, Keith?
It was.
Yeah, it was Keith.
Wow.
JR is in Franklin up next. Hey, JR.
Hey, Will. How are you doing?
Good.
Hey, Will. So I'm calling in about Will Levis. I wanted to say a few things. Let me ask you a question first.
Okay.
Do you agree that we actually could have been at 27 points yesterday if Leroy Watson didn't put us back 20 yards in penalties, and then they turned over the touchdown, so we would have been at 27 points. Do you agree?
Do I agree?
Yeah, if they'd had a fumble and Nick Folk had made a kick, sure, could have.
Okay. All right. Sweet. So the question is, do you think people would be as harsh this morning if we would have been much closer in the score in the game? If we barely lost, do you think this criticism would still be here today?
Well, if he took 7 sacks, either way, and if the Chargers hadn't been playing umbrella coverage, just keep everything in front of you on the last drive, and he didn't pad some of the numbers, I think absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so even if, let's say, Leroy didn't get those penalties and Will would have scored a third touchdown, you would still focus in on the 7 sacks.
Yeah, of course.
Will was terrible. Okay.
Of course.
So your main stat that you're worried about is sacks. But let me ask you, if we're talking about Will's progress, did Will throw any interceptions yesterday?
Nope. How high of a bar is that, though, JR? Is that all it takes to be an NFL quarterback? Just don't throw picks?
No, we're talking about progress. And if you're going to realize there's any progress, you have to at least point out the things he's doing better. And you're saying, I'm focusing on...
Yeah, we pointed those things out, JR.
No, but the point is you're saying it's only the sacks that matters. And I'm saying, no, it's not the only
The result is what matters at this point, JR. He threw for under 200 yards and they lost again. That's what matters.
Okay, again, you're not looking at the whole picture, though. I have to ask you a few questions in order for you to realize the situation.
JR, buddy, we have had the whole picture throughout the morning, and we appreciate the call because your time is up. But here's the situation. You threw for less than 200 yards again, and it took you a lot of screens and some garbage time to get to just 175 yards. How many excuses does this guy get?
I think it's okay. So there's a difference between what is progress to one person compared to another, right? And we all had this discussion last week. What did we need to see from Will to make us feel like, okay, this guy can get it done. This guy could be our guy. A lot of people said a win. Clearly, they did not get a win, right? It wasn't close when it's all said and done. Then you look at the stats. Yes, we have said on the show that he did not commit turnovers. That is progress in one department because that is something that has plagued him. That's got to be consistent, though. That was one game. Okay, we'll give him credit for that. He found connection with Calvin Ridley for the most part. I'll give him credit for that. But when it's all said and done, it's still the things that kind of overshadow that. In the end, it's like, okay, how much did he really progress? And when you look at those 7 sacks, you're exactly right. That is a big number. That is a very big number.
615-737-1045, the number. More of your reaction and a simple message from Jeffrey Simmons to his team to tell you coming up next.
Hey guys, it's Ramon Faulkner. If you're feeling at a loss for energy or just not upbeat like you used to, it could be low testosterone. That's right. It affects our moods too, okay? Testosterone therapy or TRT can help you get back to your best. But guys, have different T levels too, or not all the same. So don't go for the TRT referred to as the standard dosage. No, ask some questions, okay? There is a difference. Look for TRT with an optimized personal treatment plan, like you'll get with the experts at Low T Center. They provide advanced therapy, and with over a decade of experience too, you can trust them. So go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
What's going on? 8:04. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Titans fall in California to the Chargers 27-17. In his return to the field, Will Levis wasn't bad statistically, finishing 18 of 23 for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns, but held the ball a little too long, sacked 7 times. Both of his touchdowns went to Calvin Ridley, the first of which came from 42 yards out.
Play fake, Levis looking, firing deep downfield. There's Ridley at the 5. Ridley in the end zone. Touchdown, Titans! Ridley smokes Taylor on the big throw.
Chargers moved to 6-3, while the Titans fall to 2-7 and currently hold the 3rd overall pick in the 2025 draft. Sunday Night Football, Texans can't hold the Lions down as Detroit creeps back in and wins it 26-23. The Lions are the first team since 1970 to throw 5 interceptions, trail by 15 points, and still come back to win the game. Tonight on Monday Night Football, you've got the Cool Coach Bowl as the Rams take on the Dolphins. Kickoff is set for 7:15. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW into hour number 3 this morning. Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. 615-737-1045. Titans fall in L.A. to the Chargers 27-17. We take your phone calls and reaction to the F&M Bank chat. Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Talk some college football coming up in 15 minutes as well, because there is a lot to react to just to the SEC alone from week 11 of the college football season. Guys, Jeffrey Simmons has a simple message for his Titans team. In the locker room post-game yesterday, quote, "This is the NFL. And my message to the guys is say less and do more. We have to stop talking, including myself, and we have to say less and do more."
Wow. Yeah, there's no room for that.
That's where we're at.
It's a show me type of situation that they're in right now. The Colts had a situation very similar to that too, where every player said the exact same thing. Like, if the game plan is good and you buy into the game plan and you're not making the plays, there's nothing else going to get you through this other than work. Like, it sucks. And we spoke about this a little bit last week. The only way to get through this is put your head down and work. It's practice hard. Like, it's that. Be more physical. We can say all those things, but it also has to translate over into the games, right? It has to be everybody on the exact same page. And having enough guys, I'll say this too, like Jeff, that understands that, look, we can't do this by ourselves. We got to come together. Bad moments are going to happen. And far too often you have for this team, and you can see it on the sideline. I think at home, the fans feel it. When something goes bad, that doesn't mean that that's the end of the world or that the game is over. And when it comes to Jeff making that statement about, like, look, I don't care about you fussing and cussing on the sideline and saying this in the media or getting mad if folks criticize you. It comes down to you being a consummate pro and understanding that, look, this is my job. If I don't do this, then I'm gone. And I got to give Jeff credit. We're speaking about a lot of different things this morning. As we speak about Levis, the right tackle situation, the depth and just quality of the players, too. Like, there's a lot of blame to be put around. Play calling, maybe, too. I don't know Coach Callahan's play calling well enough to say that he's a bigger problem, but I feel like there are plays to be made, and we see them be made, and guys are simply not doing it. I'm not sure if the TV shows it, but the reaction to Denard Wilson on the sideline, like when stuff doesn't go right for the defense, like that to me makes it seem like the plan is there. Like Jeff said, it's the execution of the players at some point too.
Yeah, he's exactly right. He's not lying, including himself, and he's putting himself in that category, as you can't just sit here and talk, right? You have to actually go do. And he's definitely the biggest voice on that team, and specifically on both sides of the ball, because really offensively, there isn't that voice yet. It should be the quarterback, but we all know the situation that they're in. It's really not the quarterback right now. that holds the voice in that offensive line room, in the offensive room. And if anybody, I feel like JC at some point can be one of those voices but he's a rookie, right?
Yeah, right.
And so I think it is that just go out there and do. And last week they got the job done. They thought maybe that they could build off of that. It did not happen. So it's back to work. Put your head down. See how you can improve as a player. Special teams individually, how you can improve, right? Everybody needs to at this point because it's not just one person when it all comes down to it. I know that Will Levis gets a lot of the blame, but he is the quarterback. He is the guy that they're saying they're giving time to. We've got to see that progress, but it is every single person has got to play better and limit mistakes.
Mark of the Borough next, 615-737-1045. Hey, Mark.
What up, Mark?
Yeah. Good morning, RKW.
Morning.
Hey, let's start by saying that, two things can be true. Will Levis did get better or show improvements, but he also did some of the same old things, stand in the pocket too long. As a professional quarterback in your second season, I feel like you should be seasoned enough to where you know how to step up and not side and left and right and get sacked. So, like I said, he did play a better game, but he still doesn't have the leadership to lead the game. I think confidence is the biggest thing. Confidence. When Mason plays, he's less on edge, I feel like. And he has more confidence, and it trickles down to the rest of the players. Like, all right, we don't have anything to panic about. I think when Will Levis is in the game, like Kayla said earlier, when it goes downhill for Will, I don't see him building it back up. When he took that hit, it seemed like he had a concussion after that. He shook his head a little bit. But, yeah, I think it's just a confidence issue.
Thank you, Mark.
Here's a stat, too, real quick, before you get to that. Just in terms of Levis being in this year as quarterback, he's only topped 200 passing yards once in his first or his 5 full games of the season. Also, they have not topped 17 points in any of Levis's full games this season. Just a couple little notes there.
The confidence conversation. I'm with our last caller that said that, but like you have the entire organization backing you.
I think that's a little bit too simple of an argument, in my opinion, to say it's just confidence.
I know, because again, we're speaking about hitting the ball out of breaks when it's not just the first read. Like those are the things. Like JR that call, or RJ, whichever one it was, that call in earlier. Like the idea that he didn't throw any interceptions, turn the football over, but the flow and operation of the offense, where is that at, right? And he got better in that world. And of course, Leroy Watson did not help him out in context, or the O-line in general. But you've also seen Leroy Watson last week with the same quarterback behind center with a similar defense be better, right? As far as the quarterbacking play go, as far as the flow of the offense. Like the context to be given in all these games is, the O-line ain't good. The weapons don't scare you as much. But the idea that you can say one got better versus the other in comparison to where he should be doesn't equate to what happened on game day.
And honestly, I think Brian Callahan would rather him throw a pick than take 7 sacks. How many times has Brian Callahan told the media this season, guys, interceptions are a part of it? He has said that over and over, that we want to limit them, but at some point, even when you're trailing, you got to just give your receiver a chance to make a play every now and then. And I didn't see that from Levis yesterday. And I'm not talking about you're halfway down to the ground and you're just shovel the ball forward to a defender. Obviously, there is never any context where you want that to happen. But negative things are still happening, even if the ball is not resulting in being caught by the other team. Tony is in Kentucky up next. Hey, Tony.
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Morning.
I just want to talk about Will Levis and his the mental capacity that he lacks. Football's 80% mental, 20% physical. It doesn't seem like the man can read a defense pre-snap. You got zone coverage. And anticipate your throws. There's holes in defense everywhere. You're in man coverage. Hit your hot reads. Throw the ball away. Live and die another day. Save your team some stress and your fans some stress for that matter. Things like that. That's all I wanted to say.
No doubt.
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Matt is up next. 615-737-1045. Hey, Matt.
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Morning.
One of the things I just wanted to point out is how he continues to take hits and sacks when he's near the sideline and behind the line of scrimmage, when he can throw the ball away and put you in a 2nd and 10 situation rather than a 2nd and 12 or 13. I just noticed he continues, when he's by the sideline, when he's out of the pocket, just throw the ball out of bounds, but he continues to take hits. And at least 1 or 2 of the sacks yesterday were in those situations. So just wanted to point that out also. Thanks, guys.
It's true. It is. But you know what also happens when he keeps it and take a sack? His percentage stays up. His QBR or whatever it is, his rating stays
127
up.
quarterback rating, Ramon.
I know, but that to me though is a process of also knowing. Okay, all right, I'll play the confidence game here. Like I'm confident enough to know that look, if I throw the ball away, I live another down, even though my percentage goes down. But look, this is what I'm also telling the coach. My processing of keeping us within like doable downs and distances, like I've done that. You know. Like, are you good enough to overcome sacks? Like, that's the other question behind the sacks, too.
And Callahan admitted that, too. He was asked about the sacks, and he said he at least took 2 of them on that naked bootleg. And he said that's not usually what you're looking for. Well, correct.
Sack?
I mean, you can't. It's like
so
that.
There's our answer on that.
Yeah, I mean, he had admitted at least 2 of those in those situations.
615-737-1045. When we come back, what we learned on Saturday before the Titans ever took the field in Los Angeles. Did we learn anything in Knoxville from Tennessee's win over Mississippi State? Jalen Milroe looks like Jalen Milroe again. And if you have a mobile quarterback, you could be able to beat the LSU Tigers. That's coming up next.
Hey guys, it's Ramon Foster. If you're feeling at a loss for energy or just not upbeat like you used to, it could be low testosterone. That's right. It affects our moods too, okay? Testosterone therapy or TRT can help you get back to your best. But guys have different T levels too, are not all the same. So don't go for the TRT referred to as the standard dosage. No, ask some questions, okay? There is a difference. Look for TRT with an optimized personal treatment plan like you'll get with the experts at Low T Center. They provide advanced therapy and with over a decade of experience, too, you can trust them. So go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
RKW 104.5 The Zone. Going to shift gears on this Reaction Monday. We'll talk some college football. As Tennessee beats Mississippi State 33-14 with Gaston Moore in at quarterback. We've got LSU, Alabama. We've got Georgia, Ole Miss. We've got South Carolina coming to West End and smoking Vanderbilt on Saturday afternoon. We will get back to Titans. If you want to call back in, if you want to react with us in the fourth hour, we will spend the whole 9 a.m. hour on the Titans and react. But felt like there was enough college football and enough meaningful things to take away that it still deserved some time on this Monday. And we will start in Knoxville because Tennessee beat Mississippi State with a backup quarterback in the second half. And Josh Heupel says Nico Iamaleava is expected to be back in Athens on Saturday. Did we learn anything significant about this Tennessee team in its win over Mississippi State?
The deep ball is on its way. The explosive plays. He still missed a couple here and there, but the deep ball are getting a better feel for it. To me, if we were looking for the offense of 2022, I'd much rather this process than what happened in 2022 where they couldn't really sustain and fight through. Defense is adjusting to them. Like the Arkansas game, you got caught. You got got. There's no other way around it, right? We've seen this team offensively grind out games. I'm probably not hit the spreads that everybody wanted them to if you was betting on the Vols this year, right?
True.
But to me, I love this type of stuff because when you build up a foundation of what you are, especially the hard parts of developing, meaning the running game, figuring out how to be good close to the line of scrimmage, they have done that more than they have going down the field. And now you're seeing, as I always say, the ascending of an offense. You want November football to be on its way up. And we've seen more explosive plays in late October and November than we have, I feel like, all year long. The touch is getting there to me, and I like that.
Yeah, and also you have to like that they're bucking the trend a little more of, not scoring in that first half. They're slowly kind of getting back into a rhythm in terms of putting points up early. I'll go, though, to the defensive side of the ball. As much as they have been such a solid unit for this team, again, not having a team score over 20 points, all of the good stuff that comes along with that. I know they didn't give up 100 yards passing, but the ground game in terms of yards given up, I'm starting to worry about. And we had the conversation in the break about Georgia this upcoming weekend. Mississippi State with 179 yards on the ground. It's their highest total of the year.
Third highest.
Yeah, third highest. That's starting to at least maybe worry me a little bit in situations that you can't stop that run.
Yeah. Bend but don't break, though. 14 points given up, right? They were opportunistic as far as turnovers go. Like, as I've been around teams where this has happened, where it's just like, man, we're giving up so many yards, but how many points did you get? Like, to me, that 179 yards supposed to equal, well, it does. It equals 2 touchdowns. That's almost 200 yards of rushing. You'll live that life more times than not. When you look at the end, to your point, Kayla, I'm not trying to crash on that, but the big picture, 179 is 2 touchdowns in my eyes, right?
Yeah,
and that's all they gave up in those moments. Passing, 92 yards.
Yeah.
Kentucky ran for 168 against Tennessee. State ran for 179. If you take out the sacks, though, they actually ran for 211, and Kentucky ran for 197. So there's 2 stories being told there. Yes, Tennessee's defense is good enough at sacking the quarterback to cover up mistakes. That's undeniable at this point. They haven't given up 20 points, right? So that's a positive. The negative, though, is that teams are now good enough to prolong drives and put themselves in scoring position. Doesn't mean they're always finishing with points, but putting themselves in a more dangerous position by running up the middle against Tennessee's defense, that is directly correlated to Keenan Peely not being in the middle of the defense.
Absolutely.
And that, to me, is a red flag about Tennessee. That's a red flag. The other red flag, guys, this team is a bad red zone offense. And it's going to get Tennessee beat. Probably this weekend. Tennessee has 9 touchdowns in its last 20 trips inside the 20. That is not good enough. 3 red zone turnovers this season. 25% of Tennessee's turnovers this year have come inside the opponent's 20-yard line. There is not a lot that Tennessee is doing. They're running up the middle, and when you can play bully ball and they can lean on the defense, then great. You score touchdowns, and that's great. But Tennessee's got a tricky problem here because they're not hitting enough explosive plays with consistency down the field. So then they prolong drives. They're put in the red zone more, but they're not a good red zone offense. One of those two things has got to get better. Either you've got to get better throwing the football down the field in the explosive pass game to not be in the red zone so much, or you have to take better care of the football and be more creative in the way you can pass it in the red zone, because all they're doing is running it when they get inside the 20.
Right. And that because I think Dylan had a fumble.
Dylan Sampson had another fumble.
Yeah.
Just like he did against Kentucky and Alabama.
He is, right. You can't see those mistakes.
Yeah, 3 straight weeks.
Yeah.
I'm going to be real with y'all. I'd much rather have this problem as far as the tight red zone and trying to force it down the throat than be able to try to pass it every single play, though, too, because that's what you do still have. I will say, I like the idea of them playing bully ball because we hadn't been able to do that in years past.
100%.
And it's got to work. To your
That's
point,
fine.
it
That's
does have to work, right? I'm okay. I'm going to be honest with you. If they go ahead and throw in a Tebow jump pass to throw it off. Like, what I'm saying is there are options when you feel that, when you're that cocky. As a coach, I said, my bigs are better than yours. And more times than not this year, as far as running the ball and getting those downs and distances, first downs, you get them. The turnover with Dylan Sampson probably would have been a touchdown in that moment right there, right?
And Peyton Lewis should have just bounced his outside.
Yes.
That one you can't totally put on play calling. It's a freshman running back who made a freshman mistake.
And he just rode to dark. He ran to darkness.
100%.
So,
Right.
am I more apologetic than I should be? Yeah, I am. But here, that's the orange. You cut me, I'm probably going to bleed orange. Okay, there's that side of it for me. What I'm saying is this. Being able to lean on those 4th and 5th and 6th-year seniors that they have on the O-line should be the strength of this team. Now, I'm with you. There has to be an advancement of play calling. There have to be more options. If this offense can spread you out in the tight red zone within 5 yards and in, then there has to be guys either dragging, zigging, or quick crossing routes to get them open. And then there's also this part of it, too, because, they have been down there in the tight red zone, and Nico has thrown slants to them, and they simply don't catch them, too.
That's also true.
So there's that portion of it that has to be elevated more if you're going to play Georgia on the road like this. But again, I ain't trying to give up too much here because I know we got to talk about this thing for a week. I love this team better this year with the slow, methodical, break you down and control the line of scrimmage than I did in 22 now in hindsight. The 22 explosiveness, I'm with that. But at some point in time, that catches you slipping. In the SEC or big boy ball, anywhere, I don't care if you go to the Big 10. Do they have big boy ball in the Big 12 anymore? Either way, that was me being petty.
There's a couple teams.
That was me being petty right there.
The answer is
you got to
no.
look past me on that one. Look past me on that one,
There
okay?
is not big boy football in the Big 12.
But imagine
is
6 years ago, we couldn't have this conversation about Tennessee controlling the line of scrimmage. Against Georgia, that I've seen George Foster, a UGA alum, complain about their play up front. I ain't complaining about ours as much as he is. And that's where, to me, when we talking about O-line versus O-line, D-line versus D-line, I trust this version of this Josh Heupel offense, as slow as it can be at times, way more than 22.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that you can hope for this weekend, and I know you mentioned Nico Iamaleava likely going to be back, but you also hope there's some of these other guys that got beat up in that game, i.e. Dylan Sampson, Dante Thornton, that these guys are back too. I mean, you do need everybody you can have on that field to beat a team at Georgia. As much as Georgia's not played its best football, you still got to have that.
Yeah, and Andre Carrick didn't play the second half either at left guard. Jackson Lampley, the local guy, got an opportunity. So
a crazy holding call on him, too, that brought the ball back. I was like, what is this all about? Lampley had a hole in it, if I'm not mistaken. I was just like, wasn't a holding call, but either way, that's me being an offensive line apologist here.
The positive we learned again, and I start with the negatives because I think we took away new things that, again, weren't overly positive. But the thing we already knew is that Dylan Sampson is
he's so good.
As good of an individual player as there is in the SEC at what he does. The guy is having a historically good season.
Yeah.
And coming back from the injury where you felt like, is that an ankle sprain? Is he out for a couple weeks? Guy just keeps showing up, and you know he's not 100% as much as he's getting the ball. 30 carries, a career high, 149 yards was outstanding again. And if he isn't as big a part of the offense as he is, if he wasn't as dominant as he has been, maybe Tennessee does take a chance with Nico Iamaleava's health in the second half of that game. Josh Heupel said it was precautionary. You're able to rest your quarterback and not take chances with his health, because your running game is as good as it is. and Dylan Sampson is as good as he is.
You know what you also see in this team, and we've talked about it a lot in different ways this season, but it being a 2 tight end team where 1 week you can have the tight ends be part of the actual scoring.
Yeah.
In another week, you can actually help out with, the run game and blocking. So that's been really constant in terms of also being able to build on that. That's a good sign.
Yeah, it is. And here's the other part too that I love. Dylan Sampson's got breakaway speed.
Sure does.
He ain't just turning.
He's got everything.
He's got the blocking and pass pro, which is probably why Peyton Lewis ain't on the field or Cam Selden as well.
Well, and it's the footwork, right? Like it's so much more than just straight line speed. He's got quick enough feet to just step right around you and immediately get back up to top speed.
Yeah. Yep. And that's why you hope he's able to just stay healthy and, be able to continue to be that player because he has been so meaningful. He's like Tony Pollard's been so meaningful to the Titans. He's been so meaningful to this Vols team.
Oh.
Ole Miss 28, Georgia 10.
Woo-wee.
We were told all offseason that Ole Miss had bought a defense. Lane Kiffin was not shy about saying last year when Georgia and Ole Miss took the field tilted towards Georgia because they were so much bigger than Ole Miss. Well, Ole Miss, what did they do? They spent a lot of Mississippi's hard-earned U.S. dollars to get some big men, and they showed up. TJ Daugherty and Chris Paul Jr. were terrific. Jared Ivey with 2 sacks. The Florida transfer, Princely Umamielen. First try, let's go, Will. Each had 2 sacks. Ole Miss brought it.
Yeah, they did.
All 4 quarters.
No, what else? They stormed the field. Oh, man.
Too
I thought that
early.
was so classic. Yeah, too early, though. Lane had some words for that.
Ole Miss has had so few big wins since Hugh Freeze left. They forgot when they stormed the field. You do it when the game's over, guys.
Yeah, you do. You got to wait a little bit. But that's also that Mississippi education. Never mind. That's me
true.
being petty.
No, you're right.
Okay, that's
lean into that
They
one.
were so anxious.
Same foot, same shoulder, man. But that's some. Will's got the headline. The money showed up.
Yeah.
I mean, legitimately showed up. Walter Nolan Jr., you're like, all of these guys showed up in a major way for them, man, and made plays. And honestly, they terrorized Georgia. They made Georgia look like what they make other teams look like. Like, they made Georgia look like Mississippi State in a sense. Like, the roles were reversed. And honestly, God, I was about to go berserk on the plane watching this game, man. It's just being locked in and tuned to it because for the life of me, I'm unretiring is what I'm telling y'all. And I'm going back to college.
Okay, you heard it. Breaking news on this show.
That left tackle and that right tackle. I've never seen a stiffer person in my life than what Georgia had at right tackle this past weekend. As many recruits as Georgia have, they were flagrantly bad, man. And me, for once, I'm speaking about it publicly because it was that atrocious. I've never seen a dude kick the way he did and be as bad as he was and be at Georgia. I've never in my life have seen that.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Brooks Austin tweeted this out. Director of recruiting for the On SI Network, lead editor for Bulldogs On SI. Georgia offensive line recruiting the last 2 cycles.
Talk to me, Will.
4-star, 3-star, 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 3-star in 2022. 3 of those players transfers. 2023, 4-star, 4-star, a 4-star that's retired. Kelton Smith isn't on the roster anymore. 2 more 3-stars. Stars matter.
Whoa, wait a minute. This is Big G we talking about. Georgia,
Seeing a little bit of an equalizer here.
But see, this is also what happens when you also feel like you got to go get the skill.
And Sam Pittman isn't coaching your offensive line anymore.
It's that side of it too, right?
Yeah.
Or is Matt Luke, right?
I saw somebody tweet this. I don't know who it was. Say, I don't care what sport it is. If I ever am a head coach of a team, basketball, football, baseball, I'm building the O-line first. Like, I don't care if it's baseball. Like, you go find you some bigs that can block for you. Like, that's how crucial this is. And I'm glad for once that I'm seeing Georgia go through this because for the longest, they've had nothing but first-round tackles, too. Like, how can you not recruit the same guys in?
New position coaches.
Like, Emeritus Mims is a first-rounder. You know what I'm saying? Like, Broderick Jones, like,
Tate Ratledge may end up being close to it, but that's about it, right?
But Tate ain't healthy.
I know.
Tate ain't healthy. Like, the dude that was in at right tackle, Tate plays guard, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
But he was supposed to be a tackle, and his backup was Internet Kayla. Hear me out. Hey, You can play right tackle at Georgia from this past weekend.
I mean, put some about 500 pounds on me, and maybe.
You don't even need it, man. You and them, unless you calling them
put me in at
arms and that
quarterback,
wrist.
and I'd be better than Carson Beck. I'll tell you that much because he's straight up trash right now.
What I don't want to do is trash talk him too much. We
I'll
got a whole week of this.
I'm going to trash talk him all I want.
I know what Georgia is, and until you beat the boogeyman, you got to respect the boogeyman, okay? Or don't say Candyman 3 times in the mirror. One or the other has to happen.
That man is turning the ball over at a high rate, whether it be he's losing the fumble or he's throwing an interception. You're right. The offensive line hasn't helped out with that or the run game. Georgia ran for 59 measly yards in this game.
How?
59 measly yards. And yes, give Ole Miss a lot of credit. But also, what is going on with Georgia, like you said, and not being maybe as elite up front. And you talked about a Carson Beck who was supposed to come in and run the world at the quarterback position. Oh. And he is like not even anywhere to be found on the Heisman favorite list.
You see his graphic they had on TV, his 3 main goals it was?
Yeah, please tell me.
They were All-American.
No, not going to happen.
Heisman.
No, not going to happen.
And a first-round quarterback.
Nope, not going to happen.
He might get, because the quarterback conversation in the draft.
Because people will look at him as a project.
Yeah,
we can fix him like, we can fix AR.
Even the commentators like, well, those first ones, Will Levis.
Right?
Like, well, there's that side of it too, right?
I get
you're
where
telling
you guys
me an SEC quarterback was really good as a junior, came back for his senior season and regressed a little bit, and some NFL team's going to take a chance on him maybe in the early second round to get back to his junior season? You're describing Will Levis.
Yeah.
It's good to be
Is there a Stetson Bennett the 7th somewhere around here they can bring back there?
Well, Stetson still hasn't graduated. Maybe he can sue the NCAA like Diego Pavia is for another year of eligibility.
I didn't think the commentators would crap on that as quick as they did.
On what?
On Diego Pavia, trying to get that 7th season a little bit.
I didn't watch it live.
I was tuned in to the boys in West End.
I didn't hear that part.
From my understanding, it was just like, well, I don't know if you can really get that, considering you know. Did I hear that wrong then on the broadcast, Kayla? Well, either way, I don't know if he's going to be able to win it. But here's what I also know:
good for him for at least trying.
He's helping him get lawyers, and he's probably going to fight that one and might win it.
The NCAA has gone winless on lawsuits. Maybe this is their first win.
Oh, Lord.
We'll talk more about Vandy as the week continues and their loss, but I'm just saying it would be the funniest thing possible for Pavia to get his extra year and then go play for Hugh Freeze. That way Hugh Freeze can't lose to him again. Coming up, we're going to wrap up Hour 3 and go down to Baton Rouge. Welcome back, Jalen Milroe.
Whoa.
Talk about it next.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Man, y'all, this month, till the end of the year, I'm here to tell you this, man. Hiller's Cash for the Holidays promotion is back. And that's that time of the year where you buying a whole lot of stuff. You got family coming in, eating all your holiday food. Well, guess what? Hiller's giving you cash for the holidays with select purchases. Like you get $500 Visa gift card when you buy a select new HVAC system or new whole home generators, which are clutch. Y'all know how the weather is here, man. You be the only one with your lights on if you go to Hiller right now. Or you can get a $250 Visa gift card when you buy a new tankless water heater. These deals are available until the end of the year, but schedule today at happyhiller.com.
RKW 104.5, The Zone continues. We'll get back to Titans discussion coming up in 15 minutes. But first, guys, there was a crime committed in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on Saturday night. And the culprit has been caught red-handed. It's the LSU defense. They have been caught on fraud charges.
You mean again after all last year?
If you have they got a little better this year. And then now when they play a backup, or not backup, when they play a mobile quarterback, I think there are some Tennessee 6A high school teams with mobile quarterbacks who could put up points at LSU.
Eek.
42-13. Alabama, Jalen Milroe throws for 109 yards. If you told me before the game Jalen Milroe would throw for 109, I'd say, how many did LSU win by? 2 touchdowns? Did the tiger get out of the cage and chomp his arm or something? The fake fraudulent tiger? 12 carries for 185 and 4 touchdowns.
Jeez Louise.
Alabama rushed 48 times for 311 yards. Alabama, Kalen DeBoer. I know you tried to run the DeBoer system. You tried to put in Jalen Milroe into the Michael Penix role. This is who you are.
Yeah, it is.
You are a run first, use Jalen Milroe's legs, run it 50 times a game offense at your best. And we saw that on full display Saturday night.
When they got Georgia, he was using his legs was a huge part of it.
Yep.
Against the Vols, he did not use his legs as much.
Yep.
They went to the young 17-year-old Ryan Williams, respectfully. And these
why not,
are the
right?
things that happen, though. Like, why get away from who you are? If you are the Joker, stay him. Like, there's no reason for you to own it. Like, those are the things that happen. Like, my brother-in-law has become a big-time Alabama fan for whatever reason. It's probably because Tennessee beat him 50-0.
And because he also probably didn't go there, did he?
Yeah, no, he didn't. I mean, UC beat him 50-0 in his senior year. I get it. I know the hate is real. But one thing he's been consistent in is this. It's like, in order for Alabama to be good, you must run Jalen Milroe. I don't understand why they're trying to throw him in college. Like, and it sucks for him because in order for him to be successful at the next level, he's going to have to pass the football. But you need to do that one thing well in college to help you win games, to create a higher profile for you. Hey, for all I can care, make yourself another Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
Right? It pays to be successful in college, or at least have the attributes to do it. And that's why I feel like Alabama, or Kalen DeBoer and his offense, dropped the ball on trying to make another Michael Penix Jr. out of Jalen Milroe.
When it's all said and done, too, you guys, and you're right, it's never really consistent in terms of what they're doing from week to week, but it has kept them in the playoff conversation. They did not just go in and beat LSU. They embarrassed them in Baton Rouge. And Brian Kelly, he's sitting there bragging about how we never lose night games, right? Well, Brian Kelly, you just lost one, and you lost one by a lot. And Garrett Nussmeier didn't look great. He had 2 interceptions, 1 fumble for loss. Just altogether, that LSU team just looked like it had gained momentum and then lost it all in one game, because they're now out of the playoff conversation in my mind.
Yeah, LSU has been eliminated.
Yeah.
Really the first major SEC team to be knocked out of playoff contention. And this is kind of who Brian Kelly is.
So
to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Notre Dame, is what you're telling me.
I don't think so.
I think it is him.
LSU against ranked teams under Brian Kelly. 2 years ago, he was 2-2. Okay, year one. One of those wins was over Alabama at home under the lights. You get a little bit more credit for that. Last season was 1-3. This season, 1-3 again against ranked teams.
Yeah.
And LSU has significantly higher expectations than just beating ranked teams. They expect one thing at LSU, national championships.
You're right.
What'd you say about the last 3 coaches that's been there? Did you already mention?
LSU's last 3 football coaches have all won national titles. Their names are Nick Saban.
Yes.
Their names are Les Miles.
Yes, sir.
And Ed Orgeron.
Oh, Joe.
Ed Ogout. Yeah, the 19
Oh, yeah.
team.
Because he had Joe
maybe the
Burrow,
best
baby.
college football team of all
19
time.
team.
Yeah.
Probably the best college football team ever.
Man, I don't feel sorry for LSU. They're in the hotbed of recruiting. Like, they not only
Right.
have Louisiana,
The
but they also got
facilities,
Texas.
the fan
Absolutely,
base,
you
the
guys.
recruiting ground. Like, this is a tier 1 blue blood 5-star football program.
And they put loads of guys in the NFL. I mean,
everywhere.
they are everywhere when you talk
NFL,
about
LSU.
LSU, right?
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. He had, specifically last year, a quarterback who could get something like that done.
They
But
wasted
they had
him.
so much defensive
Young stud.
issues
Yep.
that they couldn't overcome that.
Did Jaden Daniels' team win yesterday?
No, they did not.
close.
And I know why
Shut
you're bringing
up.
this up.
This is a college
Steelers
football hour.
homer.
Shut up. Shut up. I want you to shut up.
But he did play well.
I want you to
Jaden
stop.
Daniels still
Not
played
well enough.
Garrett Nussmeier, 27 of 42, 239, a touchdown and 2 picks. The INT in the end zone halfway through the third quarter was a complete killer. This game was still in reach. It would have been a one-score game halfway through the third, and Garrett Nussmeier throws a pick in the end zone. LSU still just doesn't run the ball enough for me. They only ran it 24 times in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, not enough.
104 yards.
So to that point right there is why this version of the Tennessee Vols offense I appreciate more.
Because you can run it when the other team knows you're running it and have success.
What we talking about, right?
And they're not abandoning the run
They're
too
not wrong.
early like LSU and Alabama have done at times this year.
I was in and out of that Alabama LSU game for the most part, but like it was obvious Bama was going to run it. Is what you would say in this game right here, like, or you
Off
knew
a
that
lot of different
Milroe-
looks.
Yeah,
They
Milroe
kept
was
motion
good.
the back out, man coverage, the back gets out of the box, and then you got 5-on-4 now, touchdown Jalen Milroe.
And we cooking is what you're saying is essentially what happened this past week. Like at some point the adjustments have to be there. You know the boogeyman is what is it? Number 4? Like Jalen Milroe, like
sure
he's
does.
there. Somebody has to account for him, and I know you have the facilities for that big man. Like, that's what I'm telling you. That cracked Will right there. That's one of the memes. That was
What
pretty
did you
good.
just
think
say?
you have the facilities for that big man.
facilities for that.
No, they have the facilities for that big man. It was what I'm telling you, man. But legitimately, this is what Alabama needs to be. I don't know who's the quarterback behind Milroe, but like Kellen
Ty
DeBoer,
Simpson.
you're
Who's
right
been
here
there
in
for like
Martin,
8
Tennessee.
years.
also got a plus 1 yard rush
Only
in
2
this
years.
game too.
I know, it seems like forever.
But if you don't have a passer, like it's okay to say, you know what, bro, this is what's going to help us win. And we'll build your profile as much as we possibly can. But he almost got fired by the Alabama fan base, killing the board by being flagrant and not using Milroe's leg.
They were comparing that man to Mike Shula.
Well, let's not. I covered Mike
couple
Shula, and it's not
months
anywhere
into
close to that.
couple months into his tenure.
And here they're scheduled down the slate here, talking about them being a playoff contending team still in Alabama.
Bama?
They got their little cupcake at the end of the season
Auburn?
in Mercer.
Oh.
And then Oklahoma, I'll call them a cupcake too, and Auburn. So it should be winnable games. But then again, anything can happen in the Iron Bowl. We all have seen that in the past. But Auburn is not a good team. They're not a good team.
I wonder if the governor of Alabama, Diego Pavia, will be down there to a lot of times they have city leaders
That's right.
of cities and states, and there's like a local rivalry there to like give the key of the city. Like, does Diego Pavia give the key to the state of Alabama
Can he?
to the winner of the Iron Bowl?
That'd be great.
At this point,
Actually, he can't. He's going to have to get away from Dylan Stewart and Kennard before
that
he
looked
can do
like
that.
a whole different
it was only a
situation.
matter of time. And I mean, Vandy's fighting.
They,
I
they're
gotta give it to
fighting.
him.
They didn't on Saturday.
But South Carolina, man, and some of their receivers, my goodness.
And they're finally ranked, South Carolina. Look at that. Finally.
I ranked them for 2 weeks, y'all.
Finally.
Yeah.
They're still not ranked high
And
enough.
Missouri's still ranked. And bum, bum, bum.
but South Carolina at least has a number next to their name, even though it should be
Why is Missouri ranked
significantly
still
higher.
AP voters? Please answer me
Is
that.
there a human size like slingshot that we can put Drinkwitz in though? That's all I got. Peace.
Can we? Please?
After the game, he told Cole Kublik, we wanted to stay alive in the playoff race.
Oh, get out of
Eli
here.
Drinkwitz
I'm
says
not.
that.
Where's the human size?
And he got what he wanted. We're
You have
talking
the
about it on a
easiest
major
schedule.
radio station. Yeah.
Ugh.
Y'all know how I feel. I ain't got nothing nice. to
You need
say.
an evil Knievel slingshot for
Yeah,
the
we do.
evil Eli Drinkwitz. 615-737-1045. What is your biggest concern today after 10 weeks of the NFL season about the Tennessee Titans? After another defeat yesterday in Los Angeles. That's next.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson. I've been telling you how I'm teaming up with my friends at O'Charlie's. O'Charlie's, born, by the way, right here in Nashville. They've been doing this thing in terms of serving up Southern hospitality since 1971, so they know how to do it well. And with several locations all around Middle Tennessee, O'Charlie's is going to deliver that true Southern comfort food experience, and then they're not going to hand out the big bill in the end. It is Monday, guys, and that means that you can make it a $5 pit stop. That's right. To go, you can go and grab chicken tenders, fries, and a drink, all for just $5. Plus, it is Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day. And to say thank you, O'Charlie's is providing free lunch for veterans and active duty military from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. You cannot beat that. Always remember to get more flavor, more choices, more value all day, every day at O'Charlie's.
This is your Off the Track Racing Report, brought to you by State Water Heaters.
Thrice as nice. Joey Logano made history on Sunday, capturing the NASCAR Cup Series championship race at Phoenix Raceway and winning his third career series championship. Logano had to overcome some early adversity. His team was penalized for failing initial technical inspection, and he lost his choice of pit stall. He also had to overcome a slow first pit stop and lost a vital crewman to illness in the middle of the race. Logano held off defending series champion and teammate Ryan Blaney in the final laps to host the Bill France Cup for a third time. His 3 titles are the most among active full-time drivers and his second title in 3 years. Meanwhile, it was Team Penske's third consecutive championship and the 5th of Penske's career. Sunday also marked the final race for Martin Truex Jr.'s full-time Cup career. He won the regular season title this season.
This has been your Off the Track Racing Report, brought to you by State Water Heaters. I'm Liz Allison. If there's anything that I don't like, it's not having enough hot water. That was me way too often until I switched to a State brand tankless water heater. Not only do I never run out of hot water, but I'm saving on my utility bill every month. State Water Heaters makes gas and electric, standard efficiency to high efficiency water heaters, and of course, my personal favorite, tankless water heaters, where the hot water never runs out. Visit statewaterheaters.com and click on the Find a Local Installer link on the main page, and you'll be on your way to owning your very own State brand water heater, just like me.
What's going on? 9:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Titans fall in California to the Chargers, 27-17 in his return to the field. Will Levis wasn't bad statistically, finishing 18 of 23 for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns, but was sacked 7 times. Both of his touchdowns went to Calvin Ridley, the first from 42 yards out.
Play fake, Levis looking, firing deep downfield. There's Ridley at the 5. Ridley in the end zone. Touchdown, Titans! Ridley smokes Taylor on the big throw.
Chargers move on to 6-3 while the Titans fall to 2-7. Titans currently holding that 3rd overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Sunday Night Football last night, Texans couldn't hold the Lions down as Detroit creeps back in it to win 26-23. Lions are the first team since 1970 to throw 5 interceptions, trail by 15 points, and still come back to win the game. You got football tonight as well. Monday Night Football, you got the Cool Coach Bowl as the Rams take on the Dolphins. Kickoff is at 7:15. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Nine a.m., 4th and final hour here already at RKW Reaction Monday. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, 615-737-1045. Great to have a healthy and accounted for Robert Walsh back at the controls this morning, who we've not heard from enough today. Bert, how are you? How was the weekend?
Doing fantastic. Glad to be back. Weekend was okay. A lot of recovery, a lot of hanging around watching football, so can't complain about that.
What? I just heard Lucas back there.
No, that was nothing. I'd rather not talk about the activity that he forced me to go along with this weekend. If anyone finds it, I have been I have lost my man card because, also Cheyenne's mad at me about it too. Lucas invites me. His wonderful girlfriend Megan was in town. Fiance, I did it. I did it.
How Lucas is chiming in back
His
here.
fiance Megan was in town, and Lucas is an incredible. What's the male version of fiance?
Fiance.
Oh, okay, cool. Fiance. He's a great fiance because anytime Megan comes in, he always has incredible day trips, activities planned. And so this weekend he was like, hey, we're going to go make candles. Do you want to go with me? And in my head, I'm thinking like old man, melting wax, like you're in a barn. It smells funny.
Love that.
No, we're in Nashville. It's bachelorette capital of the world. So we go to this daggum candle bar, and like we're the only dudes in there. It's so girly. So he pulls me in there, and Cheyenne's like, "You wouldn't take me to this unless Lucas was going. How come every time that I want to do something cute like this, you always find an excuse? But Lucas can drag you to a candle bar." So I got it at both ends. I was less of a man for making a candle and less of a boyfriend for doing things with Lucas.
Let me stand up for Cheyenne, first of all. That is not...
Hold on. I don't like Kayla talking like that.
Hey, so Lucas was doing a good deed and also got you thrown under the bus.
Got me thrown on the bus. But she did get a great candle that you get to pick the vessel for your candle. So you could have like that's what they called it. I would not have called it a vessel. You could pick like a little ball, or you could pick a little cool thing. So Cheyenne picks this nutcracker that's like standing up straight. And she's like, "Oh, I love him. So all weekend I had to smell this candle, hear about how much she loved this nutcracker, and I didn't even get any credit for it. I didn't even get any credit for giving her said nutcracker. Lucas got all the credit. I got put in the doghouse. So
you made the nutcracker?
No, it was already made, ready to go.
Okay.
Yep.
What scent did you go with?
I went with Myers Lemon.
Oh,
Love a good
refreshing.
Myers
I love a good lemon. I think Cheyenne went with bold fur, because it reminded her of my chest hair.
Oh my goodness.
She ain't wrong.
I'm telling you.
Oh, that's amazing.
You love your
These are
man.
the things you had to do when your college football team also played on Thursday.
I'm telling you, I had a free weekend. I got the rare sports equinox of all of my teams winning in fantasy football. So I'm ready for this
Look at
weekend.
you.
My dreams to be crushed as the Burt and Ramon Bowl is played for the first time this season.
Oh, yeah, we got Pittsburgh
ECU
and
doesn't play
Baltimore
Tennessee.
coming
What are you
up. Here we go.
He already this morning. I was like, "Hey, Mon, missed you, man," and he gave me a nice two-hand punch right in my chest. He's talking about coming out of retirement. I felt it this morning. I think Ramon could play. You get a good 10 snaps in.
Let the boy
It is
watch.
that time of the year. Don't you wear that festive shirt?
I saw
That festive
Lamar
shirt.
juking Santa Claus.
He's like, it's like the toilet, and he's sitting on the Browns. Remember? It's like this time of the year.
The helmet,
Yeah.
AFC Newark helmet.
Yeah.
But this good thing for Bertram, I'm only putting the foot on the helmet. Like, at least he's not the tissue like the
Exactly.
Browns or the toilet like the
They give him a
Cincinnati
little
Bengals.
respect as a Baltimore Raven.
But you know what's nuts about Bert's team and my team playing this weekend, though, is we already had a tune-up for it with Jaden Daniels.
Oh, boy.
I mean, that was a whole scouting report right there.
615-737-1045 is our number. There will be much more AFC North trash talk, I imagine.
Oh, I can't wait.
Between these two as the week continues.
2-1.
Titans lose 27-17
I knew it
to
was coming.
the LA Chargers yesterday. What concerns you the most about this team right now?
Everything.
Oh, no.
Pick one.
Being completely honest with you,
We don't have time
I'll be
for it
honest
all.
with you. It's this for me though. It's quality of players. As much as we can get on the Will Levis, as much as we can speak about Leroy Watson, like think about the quality. Like, and that's where a lot of folks for the fire ran and fire Miss Amy and fire Chad and change the head coach conversation. Like it's just not good, y'all.
So who does that fall on then? Of the quality of players not being good enough?
Last regime. Let's start there. I do think
Really?
I go back to John Robinson again. Like again, I look at this.
His name will never die in this franchise.
You got the same cycle though, right? Well, you got to treat it like college in a sense. 4 years, 4 or 5 years of this. Like the last 2 of his was detrimental to what's going on right
It
now.
was,
If we
especially
can be
up
real
front.
about it,
About
like
3 straight draft classes starting in 2020 that contributed nothing to you long term.
Right.
only one that's left is Roger McCreary
And
Yeah.
Dylan Radins.
and Dylan Radins.
And Dylan, who, by the way, I will only give credit because I feel like Callahan has actually developed and helped develop.
he survived
him.
long enough to
Yes.
get good. He
Didn't
did.
have his best
Yes.
day yesterday, but
He
he's
didn't.
gotten better.
And he's also dealing with the toe, and he was back. So I'm not going to make excuses, but at the same time, he is a little bit fresh off the injury.
But
so.
here's my reason for why I say the roster side. Like, let's compare the team they played yesterday again. That team has a quarterback. The team has a left tackle that's already been there. They got King. No, it was Johnson at left tackle. Left guard. They drafted
Zion
him.
Johnson from
Zion
Boston
Johnson.
College, who I loved in the draft 2 years
We were
ago.
gushing over him.
I know,
the
we
entire
were.
Time.
We were.
And they're making something out of wide receiver, right? That they have there. They got Josh Palmer, who's another one of those guys.
Ball.
Like the roster is stacked. They got Derwin James, who's an original, if I'm not mistaken. Like they got Bosa, who's an original. Like think about what they have on their team.
Yeah, and I think part of it, though, too, is they have guys they've drafted while Rand Carthon has been here. Not saying it's all on Rand, but like their last 2 draft classes are also contributing. I mean, Quentin Johnston has been a disappointment, but touchdown
on as of
catch
late.
yesterday.
It's 2 straight weekends.
Tui Pelotu. Gosh, I did it again. Let's go. Has 2.5 sacks yesterday. Dayon Henley, Darius Davis, Jordan McFadden, Scott Matlock, Max Duggan. All right, Max Duggan, we could throw him out. But there are contributors in that draft class from 2023. Then you look at Joe Alden at right tackle is a stud. Ladd McConkey's their leading receiver. Cam Hart at corner looked great yesterday, the 5th-round pick out of Notre Dame. So they also have gotten immediate impacts from guys that have been brought in by this regime. And unfortunately for the Titans, I mean, Josh Wiley yesterday gets a red zone look, but
Yeah, and then the other
got a
side.
lot of guys the last 2 years that haven't stepped up yet.
And it's not. And of course, here's the other side. People thought Green Bay was foolish for getting Justin Love, right?
Jordan Love.
Jordan Love, yeah. I'm Justin Field, Jordan Love. Jordan Love, right? And in that, you plan for the success. Like, I think when Brian Tannehill ended up getting that extension here, like, some people applauded, like, yeah, you deserve that, but others was just like, why are we giving him an extension right now? There was no plan for the future until you also change GMs, and Brandon Vrabel ended up having to get Will Levis because, wow, we had to have somebody behind him that's either developing for the quarterback of the future, or you didn't want to pay Ryan Tannehill again, or Ryan Tannehill just couldn't get past the 3 interceptions against Cincinnati.
Yeah, look, my biggest worry, guys, is I just feel like no matter what we do in terms of the situation with the quarterback this year, I don't see it getting better, and the sacks concern me with Will Levis. They do. There's no beating around the bush in that. I know that the center was a changed position, but other than that, this was the same right tackle that you had under Mason Rudolph, who took far less sacks. I don't know if that's something that can be changed at the flip of a dime. Unfortunately, I just feel like I don't see Will Levis progressing at the speed he needs to at this point with this mediocre offensive line.
That is the ultimate concern. The concern is that Will Levis just isn't the guy.
Yeah, it is.
He's not it?
It is. And what it does for you, though, is this to me. It sets you up to be in a position where I said, look, you got to build up a roster enough that's strong enough that you can have a quarterback come in and be good for you. And that's where I will say the left side of this offensive line, Lord Cushenberry comes back, you got something right there.
Sure.
And then, of course, you're going to have Calvin for a couple of years. Yep. But here's the other side behind that, too. Who is a young wide receiver on this team that's been developed currently?
There's not. Then
Nick Westbrook-Ikhine.
That's not. Yeah, and he's not young.
Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, he's still pretty young.
He's about to go into a third contract.
They didn't even draft him.
Third contract is what I'm saying.
But they got to draft.
I still think he is he's 27. So am I not considered young anymore? I'm 27. Wow.
No, but we're talking.
I don't answer to young bowling anymore.
Let's be real. 27 in NFL.
No, I know.
You know what I'm saying?
You mean early first contract?
Yeah.
Drafted in the last 2 or 3 years.
Was supposed to be him. Yeah, I brought it up again. Yep, sorry. But that's facts. He was a first-round pick that you traded away your other baller wide receiver for.
So where's the plethora of talent that we speak about, right?
It's just not all there yet, right? That's what the building of the foundation, we keep saying this. Well, that's the real realization.
The good young talent you have to build on is J.C. Latham.
Oh my gosh, he's so good. He again, top 10 this week in terms of lowest pressure rates. The guy is just balling.
He's cooking. We got an opportunity to see Joe Alt in person too.
Yeah.
I mean, they got him at right tackle.
Can we steal him and then put him at right and just keep JC at left? Then
it's going to cost you like steal him. It's going to cost you like 2 firsts.
If we're stealing guys, I'd rather steal a quarterback.
Yeah, give me the quarterback, man.
615-737-1045 is our number. Wide open for your reaction. Reaction Monday. You can call us. You can give any of your thoughts on the Titans, whether they are good or bad. I'm going to assume they're bad. 615-737-1045. We'll let you say whatever you want to say about the Titans coming up next.
Is your concrete in need of repair? Maybe your sidewalk is shifting, your driveway is cracked and sinking, or your porch steps have moved. Shifting concrete can create a dangerous situation and trip hazard around your home. It's also a big eyesore. This is Ramon Foster. So whatever is going on with your concrete, call United Structural Systems. Ask them about their polyurethane foam injection. That's right. You've heard about USS for a long time. The same company that has provided superior foundation repair and waterproofing to Middle Tennessee since 1994. Well, they can also fix your sunken or settling concrete. USS uses polyurethane foam injection to lift and repair your sinking concrete in a matter of minutes. Lifted concrete, listen to this, can be walked on immediately or even driven on after 30 minutes. So don't go through the long, expensive process of ripping out and replacing concrete. Call USS at 615-488-7855. That's 615-488-7855 or online at USSTN.com.
Monday morning, RKW continues 615-737-1045. Wide open for your Titans reaction. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Streaming live on 1045 The Zone TV and the 1045 The Zone app. Ronnie in Clarksville leads us off talking Titans. Hey, Ronnie.
Big Ronnie.
Hey.
What's going on? Morning.
I just want to make a comment. I know we talked about special teams a few weeks ago, and we were going to implement some changes, but whatever changes we implemented didn't work. Why don't we just kick the ball out of bounds? I mean, we just got momentum changed yesterday, and special teams comes on, and we got a 70-yard kickoff return, and it's many of them we've had this year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie, that was honestly, the ball was at the 1 yard line, and he returned it, for 56 yards?
86.
That's correct.
There is Davis.
That's coverage issues right there.
Yeah, no, that's just bad business is what that is, man. You got to start making decisions that's going to help you win games. And, of course, you set it up to where your players should be successful in those moments. I don't know if it's all Colt Anderson or the guys that he's working with, too.
Because I heard Blaine Bishop talking about it on his show, and then we brought it up yesterday in the pregame show, and, he puts a lot on the players in terms of accountability as well.
Yeah, because, again, being selfish and trying to go make a play instead of doing your responsibility, those are the things that happen on special teams, too.
When you are surrendering the NFL lead, 38.2 yards per kick return, it is on coaching, it is on personnel, it is on everyone.
It is.
When you are worst to the NFL at anything, everybody shares that blame.
Yeah.
It is.
Back to the phones. Neil is in Nashville. Hey, Neil.
Good morning. How are y'all doing today?
Good morning, Neil.
First thing, shout out Ramon, big time Steeler fan, so shout out to you.
Love that for you, Neil. Love that for you, my brother.
Will,
we do not care.
Don't mind Bert. You know what week it is, Neil.
Goodness.
Don't mind him. Just keep going.
I know he's a Ravens fan. That's all right. Talking about Levis. Levis is not going to be the guy. We know that. But this team as a whole does not play complementary football. Every week it's a breakdown on the offense, it's a breakdown on special teams, it's a breakdown on defense. I don't think it's right to just put it all on the quarterback. Last week, or when he was in the game the last time, we didn't want him to just manage the game. Well, now this time he manages the game, and he takes too many sacks. I mean, the guy's not that good, but playing a little bit more complimentary football maybe would help. I think would help the Titans' case a little bit.
No doubt.
What do y'all think?
Mm-hmm.
I agree, Neil, and we've talked about that this morning, that I think some of the defensive stats are fool's gold for a defense that is not creating enough pressure on the quarterback. Heck, the one time they do create pressure, the sack fumble they should have had gets taken away from them by the NFL office. And they have the worst special teams unit in the NFL.
Right.
So you're right. They don't play complimentary football, but I do think there's a difference between managing the game and taking 7 sacks. Taking 7 sacks and holding on to the ball as long as Will Levis is not managing the game.
Especially when you don't have the makeup up front consistently to block for you, too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where those first reads that Will Levis throws so well, they're really good for you, but that's also a dangerous way of living, because anytime you hit your 3-step drop and put that foot in the ground, you find yourself in a Green Bay situation where the cornerback picks you off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that also happen, because teams have the ability to watch film and watch a lot of film and pick up on tendencies, and that's where you need him to that same point to be able to grow and let the play let the play develop.
I also think, too, with, the defense for the most part has been the better part of this team. They have shown some weaknesses as well. And in this last game specifically, we heard Brian Callahan say it was kind of a death by 1,000 paper cuts in terms of how this offense was able to move down the field with Justin Herbert. And by the way, who ran the ball a lot more than I thought he would, and the Titans couldn't stop that. And we saw that in Drake May the week previous with the New England Patriots, who ran for over 90 yards in that game. You're seeing it, just like you said, without Ernest Jones here. We've seen some of a little bit more of the run game issues, and you don't have your starting corners in. So it's all starting to add up. And you're right, Ramon, when you talk about the depth of this team, now you can maybe even see it more exposed on the defensive side.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Justin in Nashville is up next. Hey, Justin.
Hey, what's going on?
Good morning.
Hey, I just want to say, man, we played a decent game yesterday. I'm not blaming all those sacks on Will Levis. He had like 7 or 8 of them. Hey, it's part of our line, too. We got to play a cleaner game. We got to be more disciplined. We can't constantly shoot ourselves in the foot. I don't know how many penalty yards we gave up, but, man, we can't do that.
Yeah. No doubt about it. And here's the other thing, too. The main conversation is Levis because he's the quarterback.
Yeah.
We can all agree on that.
It's the most important position in sports.
I give about 33% of that game to him. Either you got to make the plays or you got to find better plays, like better ways to help your team win. And that's the biggest issue for me as it pertains to his play and what my expectations of him is.
Yeah, they had 9 penalties for 68 yards. They are averaging about 7.7, per game, and that makes it, I think, the 4th most penalized if you're talking per game in the league right now.
That's just losing football right there.
Corey in Smyrna is next, 615-737-1045. What's up, Corey?
What's going on, guys? Moan, this one's for you. I feel like Kayla and Will be on my side about this one.
Okay, let's hear
it. If you're Rand Carthon, would you trade the number 1 pick to San Francisco and bring Brock Purdy in?
San Francisco is not trading Brock Purdy.
Or do you get somebody that knows that the system and knows that they're going to play well instead of taking a chance like the Titans have been doing the last 7 picks?
John, are you
Corey?
Excuse me, Corey. Are you talking about maybe having a bridge quarterback next year and then kind of fixing other things like, getting in a wide receiver, getting in a tackle, and then, going for your quarterback in the future?
I guess, because I feel like the Titans always make the wrong decision on who they want to pick. It's always the wrong pick.
So here's, Corey, where I actually have been saying for about a month. Like, if I get the number 1 pick.
Ramon has been.
If I get the number 1, I'm trading that thing back.
Yeah,
That's the way I feel about it. I've also been up, don't go get a quarterback.
And eventually you need to, right? But not yet.
But give me a good team first. There's a big talent deficit on this squad right now. And I say that out of respect for a lot of guys. And what I'm saying is this. Either you stay around and be in the league long enough to get good, like a lot of guys do, or you need to have a whole lot of talent. Like, I was thinking of this last night. Like, in big-time games, we've had situations where I played it where coach said, if you're an A player, I need to see your A game. And you know what? He'd also say this. Well, if you think you're an A player, and that was me. Like, I believe that. There's a lot of guys on this team that you can see, like, just don't have those capabilities yet. Like, you got to be able to grow this thing from within. You got to be able to show guys how to do this the right way, too. And that's the biggest issues that you have. You got a lot of borrowed players right now. And that's just where you are. Well, you've been saying, Adam, like, you don't think Arden Key is there? And he might not be next year. But you also have to look at the situation. Okay, Keandre Colburn, is he going to be here next year? Right? Who's going to be here behind Tavondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons?
Yeah, as many of the questions as we had about the defensive personnel this season, you have a lot of those same questions next year because you signed a lot of guys to 1-year contracts.
Exactly. Because you talk about the safety position in Quandre Diggs, who couldn't even, he couldn't finish the season because he got hurt, unfortunately. Inside linebacker.
Same question marks.
I mean, look at cornerback. You got L'Jarius Sneed, but I'm starting to worry about his health. I really am.
Sneed?
I mean,
man, if it's a quad, how much rather deal with the quad than just straight up
but
be a knee.
But then he's got
though.
the degenerative stuff, right, with the knee
that
we don't really know about.
For years in the league.
But until I see him out here consistently, I'm worried.
Degenerative
He's been
knees
consistent until this season being out there.
Exactly.
Well,
he comes here and all of a sudden he's not.
He'll have to get you flexible injections, but that to you on game day is irrelevant. I'll be honest with you. Degenerate knees is a way not to pay him.
But my point is they still need to look at that position towards
down
the
the
future,
line.
too.
You do. You already have him. You got Jarvis Brownlee.
Sure.
He's just young and getting exposed right now.
Yeah, I think the thing about the quarterback discussion is we don't have all of the info that we need in order to really make that decision and answer that question, in my opinion. Maybe you guys do, but speaking for myself, I don't know enough about these QB prospects and their finished resumes in order to make a determination. I don't even know where the Titans are picking. Like, I can't have do you trade the pick or draft a quarterback conversation yet when I don't know what quarterbacks are available. I don't know who's coming out of the draft, and I don't know where the Titans are picking. So call us back in January. And I respect the question. It's a valid question. I'm not ready to give an answer yet.
I think what this comes down to, if they do move on from Will Levis, is exactly what does Brian Callahan, no matter what we think about what quarterback we want next year, what does Brian Callahan think that will be the best quarterback for his system? And he does like to mold young quarterbacks. He's said that before. Yeah. And so whatever guy he thinks is going to be best for this system moving forward, that's who they're going to go with. It doesn't matter what we all think.
The one thing is for sure, they just can't be half in, half out on a QB again.
Right.
And that was the issue with the Will Levis pick from the beginning. We talked about it when it happened and said, if you really loved him, wouldn't you have just taken him in the first round?
Yep.
When you took Peter Skoronski?
You would have.
But you didn't love him enough to put that amount of draft capital into Will Levis. So you took a risk that you could get out of in a couple of years if it didn't work. Well, it's a couple of years, and it hasn't worked. Now you get out and you move forward. I just don't believe we have enough info in order to make that determination yet. If they love Shedeur Sanders and he's available, then Shedeur Sanders. But then your strategy changes if you have a different evaluation on Garrett Nussmeier or Carson Beck or Cam Ward than you do on Sanders. If he's green on your board and the other guys are yellow or red, then yeah, maybe you do trade back. But if your guy is there, then you stick. Again, we're just having off-season conversations that have way too many hypotheticals for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of them, absolutely. But to me, I don't, looking at the rest of the schedule, it's going to get tougher. More injuries are going to happen too.
Hadn't even played Houston yet.
Yeah, or Jacksonville for that matter. It's teams that
Jacksonville is trash.
Are they?
Yeah.
2-8, just a half game worse than the Titans.
I know.
But
and honestly,
right
the
Vikings.
Look at the Vikings. The Vikings has taken a little step backwards. I will say that. I'm not saying they're still a talented team, but yeah, when you run into Houston 2 more times, when you have only played the Colts once, I mean they've got the whole division here down the stretch, except for one game. And I guess the bright side, guys, is if they do find a way to figure it out, and Will Levis does take those steps, which we keep saying every single week. When will he take that?
Right.
I mean, maybe you get some of those wins against these less division teams in terms of the Indianapolis Colts have not played well, Jacksonville Jaguars. Houston's going to be probably getting most of their guys back at that point, though.
Let's go back to the phones. John is in Clarksville up next. Hey, John.
Yeah, I watched the game yesterday, and one thing I've noticed, and I'm sure you guys have too, is it seems like the first half, Will Levis looked pretty good for what Will Levis has been doing first part of the year. But then comes the pressure, then the floodgates in the second half. The floodgates on that offensive line just open up. And that offensive line is horrible. And I'm yelling and screaming at Will saying, run! Just do what Steve McNair did. Run, get the heck out of there. And I don't know why the coach doesn't say, hey, Will, just run your ass off and see what we can do, because he's getting killed. I don't know if anybody, maybe Lamar Jackson, could get out of that situation, but man, that was atrocious.
Thank you, John. He did run 5 times yesterday.
Wasn't 2 of those sacks outside the pocket too?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 5 carries for 41 yards. He did run. And that was actually it's a great segue to my next question. Should that be a bigger part of the offense moving forward? Because, to be honest with you, I quite liked the design runs.
And he started sliding. Besides that one where he took it in the shoulder, he did slide.
Hit one slide.
That's been my mindset anyway. If he can't get out of his own way, why would I protect him? Well, why would I not utilize what he is? He was a former high school linebacker, or was it college?
High school
linebacker. He understands what physicality is. I mean, it ain't no me to not try to. It's the same conversation we had about Jalen Milroe. Why would I not utilize his legs and physicality if that's a part of his game?
At this point, it's backs against the wall.
Might as well.
Try everything you possibly can to get the best out of this guy. And I know it's not a great thing to do with a guy who can't protect himself. But at this point, that's a him problem, not a you problem as the coach and as the staff.
Mm-hmm.
Move him around. I really liked the design run wrinkle yesterday.
I did too.
It was good.
Yeah, I did like that.
But how long does it last, though, too?
Well, that's the thing. The consistency just hasn't been here.
And on script, it worked. But again, that's the problem with this offense. They go off script and force Levis to make a progression like most NFL quarterbacks do. And he is simply incapable. But he had a 127 quarterback rating, so I'm just a Tennessee homer.
The caller brought up the adjustments from first half to second half. Like, that's also what's inside of your toolbox. Like, when do you start making NFL plays, right? The adjustments of the offensive line, too. Like, everybody gets got every once in a while. I saw 3 plays in a row where Bud Dupree attacked Leroy Watson.
Mm-hmm.
He went inside, he went around him, and then he eventually ended up getting a sack. Or was that the Tua Palui guy? I forget his name.
Of course.
Tui Pelote.
That's who it was. Tui Pelote.
2.5 sacks yesterday.
But he set it up so well. Bert, stop laughing, okay?
Fun fact for you, he is the safety for the 49ers, Hufanga. That is his cousin.
Are you serious?
He had 2 sacks yesterday, not 2.5.
But he set that up 3 plays in a row before. On the 3rd play, he finally got home. Like, it's a matter of how quick as a pro can you adjust, and that's what we're seeing a lack of with a good bit of this team, too.
And like you said, it kind of it seems to regress once they get late in the game with Will maybe even getting more antsy back there, and that was that series we saw with Bud just dominating.
Yeah.
It just seemed like it was like all done at that point with Will.
Yeah.
Rich is in Smyrna, 615-737-1045. Hey, Rich.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning.
I've got a little creative thought about the quarterback situation next year to prevent having to worry about the draft, and I just want to see what your thoughts are, or if it's even possible. We all know that a lot of the problem is not every quarterback develops year 1 or year 2, and unfortunately, it looks like that's going to be true with Levis. But my question is, rather than try and do something with him during this off season as far as a trade, then at that point we've got 2 quarterback positions to fill on the roster. What is it possible to extend Levis for a 4th year? And even though there's not the 4th year option, is it possible to come to a contract agreement that would give the coaches another year with him next year? If he snaps out of it, great. If he doesn't, and we repeat this season's record, then we go into a draft with another high draft pick the following year.
Thank you, Rich. We'll talk about it. So he does not have. It's not a 4-year option. So he is under contract through 2026, as it is already. So this is only year 2 for Will Levis, although it does feel like he's been here longer. Maybe that's just me. He's got 2025 and 2026, so under no circumstance are you going to extend him for any reason. But he will most likely, unless they decide to really cash out and get some draft capital for him.
Sure.
If you draft somebody, I would imagine he is your backup.
And that's why you were saying, Moan, it might be smart next year to draft some positions of need, right? Until you can really fully surround whatever quarterback. You'd have Will Levis on the roster and maybe get a veteran that you can come in and try to, help until that bridge is gapped, or you just go get your quarterback down the road.
Jake Browning. I laugh at that.
Well, that's Callahan's
Jake Browning
dude.
as a starter or as a backup?
I don't know, but
where is
please
he
don't
at
say
now,
Jake Browning.
by the way? Is he still in Cincy?
Well,
Is he still in Cincy?
what I'm getting at is this: there will be options for the backup, or if you decide to move on from Levis just in totality. I just don't want to see this team hash out like a lot of money for a guy to come in and be your starter moving forward, though. Too.
It depends on who's available to you in the draft.
That's hustling backwards. But
this is a
it
bad
depends
spot.
on which draft court. Like I don't like doing this early.
I mean, we're here now.
Well,
I don't think we are though.
No,
I don't think we are because are we drafting Cam Ward? Are we drafting Shedeur Sanders? Is it Carson Beck? Is it Garrett Nussmeier? Are we trading back because we like someone else? If you have the number 1 overall pick, this is a different discussion. But right now they have the number 3. So do you really believe in the quarterback that's available to you 3rd? If so, do it. If not, then all right. What's Matthew Stafford's number? Let's get him on the phone.
And here's the other big thing that we're avoiding. At what point do Brian Callahan and staff tell us, okay, this isn't going to work? I don't know if we're going to get that answer anytime soon either.
Yep.
I mean, because they've been behind him.
Levis might get benched this year. Maybe he gets the rest of the year. There's so much we don't know.
Yeah.
I understand the question. I understand it's quarterback's an easy position to talk about. I just think it's too early.
Mm-hmm. It's a difficult situation.
Final call for phone calls, 615-737-1045. We'll wrap up the show next.
Hey guys, it's Ramon Foster. If you're feeling at a loss for energy or just not upbeat like you used to, it could be low testosterone. That's right. It affects our moods too, okay? Testosterone therapy or TRT can help you get back to your best. But guys, have different T levels too, or not all the same. So don't go for the TRT referred to as the standard dosage. No, ask some questions, okay? There is a difference. Look for TRT with an optimized personal treatment plan, like you'll get with the experts at Low T Center. They provide advanced therapy, and with over a decade of experience too, you can trust them. So go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
RKW 104.5 The Zone, wrapping up the show this morning. Final call for phone calls, 615-737-1045. We will have much more college football as well coming up tomorrow. Have not talked a lot yet about South Carolina. 28-7 over Diego Pavia in Vanderbilt. Does it feel like the Vanderbilt magic is running out a little bit?
It's the same conversation I have about the Titans. Eventually, the talent going to just wither away.
I do think they ran into a juggernaut, though, who's playing some really good football and kind of just outmatched them in that game. So I'm not going to say they're completely done, but it did, I think, put things back a little bit. Also, Pavia, I think, is probably a little beat up.
There's only so many of those he can take.
It's 2 games in a row. Pavia's not really lit the world on fire.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 9 of 22 against Auburn and 16 of 31 against South Carolina.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like they're running out of juice a little bit.
Is that a one-to-one comparison? Like South Carolina's comparable to Vanderbilt in y'all's opinion?
What do you mean by comparable?
Was that an
Talent-wise?
even matchup? Talent-wise, coaching-wise, development-wise?
Vanderbilt's won a lot of non-even matchups.
Mm-hmm.
Non-even. Well, there we go then.
Or kept it really close. And that's the other thing, I guess, is a little more concerned, too, because it wasn't close.
Yeah.
Right?
They got beat down.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. What's happened, though, is they've built themselves a platform to springboard off of moving forward.
Yeah, of course.
Clark Lee
For
can
sure.
keep it tight, right?
It's been a wildly successful season.
It has.
There's
been.
no doubting that. They're
And
going to play in a bowl game.
It's brought them, I think, to you guys, a lot of positive attention, something that they haven't had in a while. I mean, because even on the national stage, you see Pavia everywhere. So
The thing that I think they're going to run into at some point, if Diego Pavia's leg's not working, then they don't have an offense.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, whether he's injured or whether teams have stopped him and popped him in the mouth, like they got to figure out another trick, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. So as we transition to week 12 of the college football season, the number 1 team in the SEC, Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah, it is.
Top of the SEC standings.
look at that.
5-1 in the conference. They would have a yellow brick road to Atlanta had they just beaten Arkansas.
I mean, goodness.
We would already pretty much be booking tickets for Tennessee to play in Atlanta if they just go to Fayetteville and win.
Who do you guys feel like is right? I mean, I feel like you got to put Texas up there.
With what do you mean?
In terms of just best in the SEC.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I think it's Texas, then it's Georgia still.
Yeah. I don't know. Georgia, they're scaring me over the last
Maybe I'm
few
just
weeks.
too jaded by Kirby Smart, but it's Texas, Georgia, and Ole Miss are the 3 best teams of the SEC right now.
Really?
And I'd put Alabama and Tennessee right in there as well. I take your pick on any of those 5 teams. All of them could win the SEC.
That's what it is.
A&M, I think, is a step down, but I could still see a pathway for them to win the SEC too. I mean, heck, they're right there too. They're tied with Tennessee and Texas at the top of the SEC.
Do you like this parody?
I mean, sure.
I like
I'm just speaking in the SEC. It's been such a dominant, by 2 teams for the past many years.
Games have been fun. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it does make it a lot more exciting.
I think Ole Miss is getting better, and I think Ole Miss is still underrated right now.
You think they're still underrated?
I think they are a borderline top 5 team.
The losses that they have been Kentucky.
Kirby Smart on Saturday night thought this was an interesting quote. Said, "I told my team during the week, Ole Miss was the most talented team we'd played. They really should be undefeated. I know people think that's not true, but they outplayed us tonight, outcoached us, and did a great job." Ole Miss is starting to live up to what we thought they could be on paper. And this is what Stephen Godfrey told us last week. We've got to rewire our brains a little bit on how we think about college football teams, because there is more time and more meaningful games to get hot and be a different version of yourself in December than you were in September.
Sure.
And you can be like professional teams, or you can get a wild card berth and make a run. And when we had this discussion last week, that's why I said I think Ole Miss is that team.
I think I said it was Alabama. We'll see where
I know we got a lot
out.
of college talk tomorrow, but the Fighting Buck Risings. Y'all got it in you this weekend.
They grinded out one. They finally didn't cover,
Top
but
5
they
team.
grinded out one, and they moved in front of Tennessee for some reason. I don't
They
understand
got
that.
Ohio State coming up in 2 weeks. We'll see what the real Indiana Hoosier is.
At this point, they might be good enough to where a one-loss Indiana makes the playoff.
Yeah, you're not wrong on that either.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's the $1 million question
They
that
could
could
keep it close.
change Tennessee and Alabama's playoff future.
Mm-hmm.
You put in a 1-loss Indiana in front of a 2-loss Tennessee or Bama? I wouldn't, but
Do you think a blowout
could.
loss to Ohio State would change that?
I don't know. Depends on how they get
They
blown
gotta
out.
keep it respectable.
Yeah, the answer is yes. They would blow them out. I think if they lose once, then it says everything they did before now is, I ain't gonna say it's a fraud, but who have they played on this list of opponents? They blew out Nebraska. What is Nebraska? They were a dud this year also.
The Fighting
Nebraska, yeah, they've been up and down.
Will
The
Herring.
Michigan win and Nebraska win is their two best this year, and neither one of those teams are ranked.
Beat Washington.
You're not lying.
It's been up and down again, too.
Washington's
I think if they lose
trash
by
this
more
year.
than 4, they drop out of the top 10.
Ooh, interesting.
Back at it tomorrow morning with lots more in the football world we haven't even touched on yet. We'll look ahead to Tennessee and Georgia. Could be a big week around here. Tennessee with a chance to go to Atlanta. They first got to go to Athens. We'll dive into that. Buck Rising Show up next. Reaction Monday continues. Coming up on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, but y'all got to remember, man, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.